And a good Tuesday morning to you. Welcome to the EST Hangout. Matt Iwanyk, Tom Gazzola with you here on EdmontonSportsTalk.com as well as the Edmonton Sports Talk YouTube channel. And joining us today, we got Avry Lewis-McDougall as well as Jason Hills. Gentlemen, thanks for coming in today. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Happy to be on, Matt.
Lots to get to today. Tommy, nice socks.
Hey, thank you. These are from listener, viewer, nasty club member Larry. He brought these in last week.
These are the ones that you got.
Yeah, so I'm wearing socks. It's a very sad time of the year.
You think it's a sad time of the year to start wearing socks?
It's the sign of the end of summer. And so, in honor of Larry bringing these in, they have Wayne Gretzky's face on them. I don't know if you could see them, whatever. But
I like socks. I like wearing different types of socks.
Yeah. Those are sweet.
And I don't know. It's
Larry brought them in.
I do like sock season.
You do like socks.
I like wearing
this
different
is the guy
socks.
that didn't wear pants for the entire
because it's summer.
first month and a
but
half.
you bring up a good point because it means summer's over.
I know.
And I got to wear socks, and that part sucks.
It's sad.
But I do like wearing different socks. Like I like going and buying
jazzy socks.
Like I have like Expo socks, and I got Simpson socks recently where it's like Mr. Plow.
Where are we at with socks right now? Remember there was like that stretch of like 2 years. Every year a fashion forward type of individual. Where are we at with socks? Because remember it was supposed to be like loud, obnoxious socks. I feel like that's gone.
For the most part, it has
That's
gone.
gone.
Yeah. It's more just solid colors now. The designs really have gone away for the past year or so, I would say.
Yeah. You're not doing like the brash socks, are you?
I used to.
I know you used to.
I used to do those brash
that
socks.
big teal jacket you wore in the winter was something else too. You looked like the Michelin man. Just like it didn't look like you were cold. Looked like it was plus 30 inside that jacket.
That was made to build. That was made to be worn in minus 40. That jacket.
Honestly, it looked like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where's Avry? Well, do you see that teal thing going by? That's him.
I find when Avry has his fashion going, you can't miss him.
No, you can't. Best dressed guy on the CFL sidelines, right there.
100%.
Yeah.
Oh, well, even in the Oilers press box, he's right up there.
He's right. He's the tippy top.
Like I don't like at an Oiler game. How many people are best dressed better? Like Gene Principe would be.
Yeah.
Gene's always looking sharp.
Yes.
Yeah, Gene's always got his A game going.
Tony Brar's up there.
Oh,
yeah,
Tony's
Tony's
sharp.
a great one.
Yeah.
Chris Ball.
Tony's a strong
He
one.
pulls it off, but I do not like the turtleneck with the suit. I don't think that looks good. Where you come out on that one?
I don't mind.
Tony's good. Tony pulls it off.
He pulls
I'm
it off.
saying, but like
It's
I
very
just don't like that look.
It's very James Bond villain like. That's why I say
that's
that.
true.
I think there's only certain people that can, and Tony definitely can.
Yes.
Me? No.
Yeah.
It's
I
just-
wouldn't even try.
It's just like a fedora. You could grab a fedora. There's a friend of ours that he pulls out a fedora.
Who?
Milan.
Oh, Jillian's husband.
He crushes the fedora. You're like, that looks
He is
like
he's
it's the Indiana Jones
looks
type
like a
fedora
model.
too. And you're just
Yeah.
like, that looks great on you. But then anyone else, it's just like it doesn't seem like a fedora. So Michael Riley was good with him.
Michael Riley.
He wore the fedora well.
He was a good dude. He is a good dude.
He's amazing.
Just overall, yes. Lots to get to over the next couple of hours here on the Hangout. Jason, you work with the Stingers. You guys won a couple championships in the past. Not there, fully on the court this year, but you got the big playoff win. You got to go down to Calgary, the team. But it seemed like the Hive was just an amazing time and just a great place to be this year. It
was incredible. I mean, I've been there since year one, and every year it's gotten better and better. And this year the atmosphere was incredible. I mean, it was every game. There was a lot of good games overall, but just the crowd, just the noise. It was so much fun to be a part of.
Hillsy, it's fresh in there too. Like you guys and the city, give the credit to the city too for being on board. Finally giving that facility a facelift.
Yeah. I mean, I can remember the first year the games were being streamed and you'd look and it was just grainy and dark.
Yeah.
Then they go and they fix the lights.
It's crazy.
All new lighting in there.
HD lighting, what it does, right?
Huge.
Yeah.
It's like that went from that to also that Laker Showtime feel. And now that the new seats, man, it's just honestly one of the best sporting experiences you can have in this city.
It's funny because like there's a lot of talk, and rightfully so, of the Riverhawks and how good of a year they had. But it's just like sometimes I feel like the Stingers, like it's there too. It's happening down at the Hive, and I think that's what shows also that this city we are a sports town. Like, we've had our struggles with the soccer teams, and there's a lot of reasons for that. But in the end, when it comes to the basketball, when it comes to the baseball, and these other sports, this city likes to support different teams. And when the Stingers are, like the Riverhawks, a prime example. And when you get an atmosphere that is fun, you want to go back again.
Yeah, and that was the thing I've found is you're seeing people that got to experience it and they want to come back. I think they just needed a taste of it, and now that they've got that taste, I mean, season tickets have already continued to grow and grow. It's really been fun to be a part of since the beginning, to see where things started and now how far it's gone. I mean, it's only going to get better.
I have friends who, didn't know the CEBL that well. I told them, come down to a game, learn the Stingers, learn the CEBL, and after one game, they immediately want to come back. They want to keep going. They want to learn the league more. And generally, the CEBL as a whole has done a really good job in getting young demographics watching the game and getting interested, be it in Edmonton, be it in Scarborough, Calgary, Fraser Valley. This league knows how to market ultimate basketball to Canadians really well.
Which is what you need. And it's just, I love going to basketball. To me, I don't think there's a better live sport personally than a basketball game, because there's the music going on, and now this is going to the NBA part of this, but NBA games, I think when you're watching TV, a lot of people think, there's just too many timeouts, there's too many commercials, the flow goes away. When you're at an NBA game, though, you don't feel those commercials.
No.
They keep you in going, and I also just love that music going on during the play of a game, and I'd love to see that in hockey. I know they'll never happen.
You need to leave. I'm sorry.
Just to add a little extra
Get outta
something,
here.
it's great. And don't be fun then, Tommy. Be that way.
You know what's
I'm
funny?
cranky.
I remember the first year we'd get emails from fans. What's with the music? Why do they play it during the game? And it's like, you don't really realize it when you watch an NBA game on TV that they're playing music during games. You don't realize
It's a basketball.
It's a basketball game.
Yeah.
Right?
And lacrosse.
Lacrosse does it well, too.
Yes, they do.
But you just, I find myself when you're at games. I mean, I'm on the sidelines. I'm near the bench, and there's moments.
You're
in
hustling.
Games,
You're hustling, Jason.
I'm trying.
You are. I've seen it courtside with Damon Bunting.
Yeah.
There's
yeah.
Hillsy busting his butt. Anyway, sorry.
But what I find is that there's times when the game's going on and the music starts playing, and there's moments in games where it gets really tense, and they'll play a certain song, and I'm on the sidelines. I'm right into it. Not only because I'm focused on the game, but then the musical, a certain song will play, and I'm like, oh, this is making it even better.
And then Hillsy's
jam.
I'm open. Hillsy, I'm open.
Yeah. Hey.
Yeah.
Put me in.
Put me in, coach. Yeah. I really enjoy the other thing about Stingers and Riverhawks. I know we've painted this city as an Oilers town, and a lot of times for good reason. But now, especially this past summer, it feels like, done right, people here will actually go and check out a basketball game or a baseball game, and they're like, you know what, that was a good time.
Yeah.
I don't know the players yet. I'm learning this sport, perhaps, but they go, that was fun. Didn't cost me an arm and a leg to get in, to park, to have a bite to eat, and have a beverage. Let's do it again sometime. So I think done right, the appetite is definitely there in the city for summer sports.
It must be fun covering a basketball team in your city.
Oh, it is a blast. And one thing with the Stingers, too, all the guys who play on this team, their personalities are amazing. Amazing guys to get to know and interview. And that's been the case since year one.
Yeah. And you know what? These guys come in here, and part of it, when the guys sign contracts, they have to also be involved in the community, and they have to commit so many hours doing community work. And from year one to now, every guy that we've brought in has been committed to being part of the community. And we had guys like, I remember first year, Xavier Moon. I mean, this is a kid, small town Alabama, and he just fell in love with Edmonton. And he was one of the first guys we asked, hey, can we do something in the community? And he would be right there. And he still comes back, even though he's not on the team the last 2 years. He hasn't been part of the team. He comes back and visits because he wants to see how the team's doing, and he just loves Edmonton. But it's really good to see how much these guys care about the community. One of the things that has been really cool to see is, a lot of the different things that have started in year one and continued on, like the Ronald McDonald House.
Yes.
The whole team goes, cooks a meal for families there, and they spend time with the families. And it's eye-opening for them because they start to see, what they learn about the Ronald McDonald House. They feel connected, and it's nice to see that you have guys coming here from, whether it's somewhere in the U.S. or now they have European players coming in. So we had a guy from Lithuania this year. They don't know nothing about Edmonton, but when they get here, they sink themselves in the community and make themselves a part of it.
That's awesome to hear, and that's what you need. And like that, when you go to the Elks, like one of the criticisms for a number of years has been, in the end, that they got away from being that community team and doing the community things, and now they're making that transition back to doing it. But that's what this city wants. They want to be able to go and see their stars, if you will, and also know that they're giving back to this community. And we're like, look, we had Jed Roberts on the show yesterday, and he's still giving back to the community. He's still doing things, and he's still out and about, and that's what people appreciate in the city of Edmonton, without question. Some people saying that they're only getting what we're doing in one channel, I think. It's supposed to be in two. So I don't know what's going on
Maddie's
with our
on
system.
it. Maddie's on it.
But we'll give that a try. I don't know if that's going to work, but
I text them back saying Maddie's on it.
Well, I'm only on it so much.
I know.
Because I'm sitting right here.
I know. Doing great, though.
There's only so far I can go with it.
I know.
780-218-9999, the Paris Jewelers inbox, or you can get into the nasty chat on YouTube. What's going on with you, Avery? What are you up to? Are you going to be back at the rink for Oilers and all that?
I will be, yes, for the hockey news, doing that. I'm still doing my CFL corresponding gig as well, so I'm doing everything.
How has it been on the sideline? Have you, before this year, have you ever been on a sideline to watch a football game?
I had been, yes, for Avery Sports. I've done before, but never been on the sideline for an entire game.
Yeah.
It's pretty just cool to see how coaches interact for a full game, players interact, trying to not get in the way. But for me, the biggest thing being a correspondent for the CFL for social media is trying to not get run over. Like, there have been a few close calls.
I watch you.
I know you do, Tom.
I watch you. I'm right there, man.
Like, I'm there, my phone up, trying to get a shot. And when I see Trey Ford scramble, I'm thinking to myself, Trey, don't come to my sideline. Don't come my way. Because you get taken out, I'm getting taken out too.
We don't want to see that.
You have any issues on the bench at Stingers game? Because every so often basketball, they come diving in, or have you been good?
I've been good. I have a little spot that I have. We did have a little incident, though, this year.
What happened?
So we were playing against Vancouver, and Nick Ward, if anyone's familiar with the CEBL, he was a standout NCAA player. He's big. He's big. He's one of these, arguably the biggest guy in the league. He's massive and scary dude. And there was a situation in the game where he was one of our guys, Nick Hornsby, got called for a foul, and he said to the ref, he said, "What can I do? He's just so damn big, and there's nothing I can do." And he took offense to it because Nick Ward, this is his third year in the league. He's gained some weight from year one to his third year. And I think he took a little offense to it. And the situation happened where they get teed up, and the referee decides to eventually, because he got a second technical, to kick him out. And his bench and their locker room is by our bench. So instead of him walking around, he wanted to come through our bench. And I'm standing in there and I'm thinking, oh no, this isn't going to end well. And because he comes V-lining straight for our bench. And so he makes a move towards Nick because Nick got sent to the bench. So our guys try to protect Nick, and I'm standing there thinking, oh, I got to protect our guys because I don't want our guys to get involved. But then he took offense to me getting involved, and I was like, oh. This isn't going well. Eventually he got out, and then he kept wanting to come back, and I just stood there, and I'm like, and he just kept just chirping me the whole time, and I'm like, you're not coming back here. I'm not going to do anything because you're like 300 pounds and 6'10".
Yeah.
But I'm just going to stand here and just pray for my life that you don't come at me. Everything, it did settle down, but I did worry about my life there for a second because I knew as soon as that ref teed him up, I'm like, instead of him walking around, I know he's going to come through our bench because why
take the long way?
Why take the long way, right? So I knew it wasn't going to end well. It did boil over for a second, but it cooled off. But I was a little scared there.
I'd like to see you chuck knuckles on the sides.
Oh, I haven't chucked knuckles since my young days, and
Just like one swipe and then like let everyone else jump in and you want more of this? You want more of this? I got more of this for you.
oh, I'm
I'm
rusty.
kidding, Hilsey.
I'm rusty.
I'm kidding,
I'm
Hilsey.
rusty,
I think
Tom.
what happened there in the end,
Yeah.
you intimidated him.
I'd agree.
I
with
like
that.
to think
That's
that.
what happened. He was looking and he went, I don't want to mess with him.
I like
And
to
that's
think
why
that.
it didn't go anywhere else.
He's only
because
6'10".
you stood your ground and you showed him who's boss and whose court that was. It was Jason Hill's court.
I'm going to tell everybody that.
That's the way you have to tell it.
I have to.
Like that's if nothing happened, there's only one natural conclusion.
He got scared.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm going to go with that, Maddie.
Just don't tell him that.
No. No.
Don't mention that around him or let that get back to him
No.
for next season. But that's the story you tell everyone else. 100%.
You know what though? And Nick is such a good guy. Like he's scary when you watch him play on the court, he's scary. Like I don't know how some of these guys guard him because he's so big. But off the court, he's one of the nicest guys. So it's kind of like that like NHL enforcer type of.
He has that switch inside of him.
Yeah.
He knows when to turn it on and when to turn it off.
Exactly. But yeah, I think I need to go with that. It was all me. I scared him away, but
Showed him who's boss.
We
Exactly.
got a couple texts to get to. 780-218-9999. Is that cool?
Of course.
All right, cool. This one's two-parter. Says, and listen, Hilsey, like you work for the team, so if this is not somewhere you want to go, that's more than okay. Avery, you can jump in if you want on the first part. Will the Stingers see any changes or drop off with President Reed Clark stepping aside? And then the second part of this text was, I was at that Stingers game. Man, that got super intense. I was sure there was going to be a brawl. Way to go, Hilsey.
Yeah, that was intense. You know, Reed has done an incredible job during his tenure with the Stingers. He took them to a whole other level, took the organization to another level under his watch. You know, when it comes to, you know, what's coming up, I mean, I have a lot of faith in the organization. But, you know, I don't know, you know, what the direction's going to be right now.
Yeah, same here. I'm unclear in terms of what they're going to do, but I do know they need to bring in someone who wants to eat, breathe, sleep basketball. Like Reed, he thought Stingers 24/7, what he could do next to improve this team, and he cared about media involvement. Like, first game of the year, Edmonton, Calgary. I was going to go down on my own to Calgary to cover the game. Reed texts me and goes, hey, do you want to ride down to Calgary? Like, what team president would offer them a journalist a ride, going them down to cover a game? Like, who's going to do that?
A long
What other
time
team
ago, they
presidents?
used to do that. Not anymore.
Yeah. Back in the 80s, but yeah, like now. Like,
You don't think Jeff Jackson's calling someone like, hey, you want to ride to Calgary with me?
My phone still
I'll show
doesn't.
you.
I haven't gotten a call or
That's not
text
happening?
yet.
Yeah, okay.
No.
He didn't invite you to Seattle last night?
No.
Okay.
I've never been there. Thanks, Jeff.
All right, you can continue. Sorry, we
Continue,
interrupted.
sorry.
yeah,
Avery.
it was like, yeah, like who, like him doing that. I thought it was so cool, you know, because he wanted media there to cover this game. It's like that's a really cool thing he did. And again, like he lived, breathed, ate the Stingers. Like he wanted his team to be in the public conscience. He wanted people to watch basketball more. He wanted the city to embrace the sport more and more. So the next president who comes in is going to have to match that. But is it possible? I really don't know who he's going to bring in to bring the energy and bring the ideas that Reed had, which are all amazing.
Well, whoever comes in, like, it's almost an easier job to start, right? Like the groundwork's already been done. You've got the buzz, you've got the attention. You're not like when the Elks need a new president, like when we had this situation with Victor Cui,
Yes.
there's a lot of concern still with the Edmonton Elks. There's a lot of
Yeah.
now the football team has changed things and there's a perception change. So now it changes a little bit for the next president, but there's a lot of work to be done to get fans back and get fans excited again about this team. As I said just now, like the fan excitement is kind of there though with Trey Ford. With the Stingers, the excitement's there. There's a buzz there. There's people that have shown up, and there's people want to get to Stingers games. And so you got that as a president, that groundwork already laid out. It's now just keeping them and growing it.
Yeah.
Standard's been set.
Yes.
And when you look around the league, I mean, the Stingers have kind of led that way in a lot of ways. From the growth of the organization as a whole. You know, they're kind of like the model franchise, and you know, there's a lot of strong teams.
Well,
seventh
Calgary
in
in
the
his first
Yeah,
year
how was
came on,
Calgary
they
this
did
year?
they did fantastic on the
They-
court.
yeah, on the
did.
court they were great, but like in that the arena that they're playing out of,
Winsport.
Winsport, yeah, it's beautiful. It seems like it's a good setup. A little bit awkward for basketball, but
it is a bit
Yeah.
awkward for
Yeah.
They made it work.
yes,
They tested it out during the
BCLA.
the BCLAs when the Stingers Hope were part of the BCLAs 2 years ago, and it was a weird conflict with schedule wise. There was renovations going on at the Expo. They couldn't have it there. None of the other venues here in Edmonton were either available or were fit for it.
yeah,
And so they ended up actually going to Calgary, and I'm like, okay, I think this is a test, and it worked out obviously with the team moving from Guelph to Calgary. And Winsport's, it's an interesting venue the way it's set up. You know, they made it work for as best it was. The lighting in there is a little bit wonky.
Yeah.
because it has that weird like side and roof, right? Like the
Yeah.
wood features and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
and
Yeah,
it's like it's almost like skyboxes
yeah,
up above.
yeah.
It's different. But the games down in Calgary were intense, and there was a good atmosphere. And I think for them to come in their first year, I mean, the team in Guelph struggled on and off the court. And to be honest, looking at the season, I was like, I don't know how Calgary's going to do. You know, just on paper.
Yep.
I wasn't sure.
Mhm,
And they came in and they had a young group of players that kind of had played with a chip on their shoulder. And it worked well. Like there's that rivalry there.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone from Edmonton doesn't like Calgary. And the fact that they were good and competitive made it all that rivalry even better.
How important is it to have a Calgary Edmonton rivalry in the CBL?
Oh, I think it's massive. They're the only two markets you can drive to in a reasonably decent distance. Like I think it's important to have those two teams in the league doing well. And next year, I know, and next year you're going to see more and more of these battles. You're going to see that rivalry amp up more and more because Stingers fans, Edmonton only won one game against Calgary this year. They won nothing in Calgary. So Stingers fans are going to want to see this team go on the road and beat the Surge next year. They're going to want to beat them in Calgary next year.
And the games we played against Calgary were just every one of them was close. There was no blowouts either way. Even the game we beat them at home.
Yeah.
I mean, Calgary came back, made it a real because we were in control of that game for the most part, and then all of a sudden Calgary started to make that comeback a bit.
That one comeback was crazy though. I was at that game.
Oh, the 18-point comeback.
Yeah, that was insane. I'm like, they got this.
I know.
We were all pumped up, and
that one hurt.
by the end of it, we were just like, what just happened?
That one hurt.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Hilsey.
No, hey,
That was
it
that was
happens.
an
It happens.
experience.
It happens.
At least Calgary lost in the finals.
There you go.
They didn't win. Take that,
No.
Calgary. Suck it.
I know, but to have like Scarborough, I'm not.
I'd rather not Calgary. Man. I don't care who
agree.
wins.
I
As long
agree.
as it's not Calgary.
I agree,
Yeah, I'm fine with Scarborough
I
winning at
agree.
that point.
but I didn't want Scarborough.
I have a problem with Scarborough's uniforms. They look like practice jerseys.
I'm not.
They're weird.
I'm not a fan of them either.
No, yeah.
I'm not a fan that when they came last year, Jay Cole didn't come.
Hey, he was on tour.
He was on
He
tour.
was on tour.
But that's like they're supposed to come. Like he signs, like he's coming to Edmonton. Play
Come
him.
on. I know.
Is he committed to the CEBL or not?
He's like 35
Then why are you signing a contract? I want players committed to the CEBL.
because of Drake.
So I want J. Cole, and then it wasn't this season, but the season before, he should have been fully committed, especially just for the one road game in the city of Edmonton. That's all I'm saying.
Sure, he had it scheduled on his calendar.
I mean,
with a big
everyone
circle.
when he signed, I'm sure everyone had to look at his tour schedule and see
Of course.
is he gonna come? Is he gonna?
Well, they should have signed him yet. They should wait till after the tour.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars from concert revenue or CEBL game in Edmonton. That's a tough
Well,
one.
what does he want? Like, look, you only have so long to be an athlete. You could be a musician for a long time afterwards.
I think he can like
He
drop
could've
in and be an
shelved that.
athlete whenever he wants.
No, because at some point you're done. You can't play with these guys. That's like, I'm very disappointed in Jake. I'm just going to throw that out there. I want to get to this text, 780-218-9999 in the Parish Jewelers inbox from Atif. Do you guys like the Elam ending in the CEBL?
And we don't call it the Elam. I talked to, I think it was Reed. We don't call it the Elam ending in the CEBL because of what? They what do they call it now?
Target time?
Target time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is the Elam ending.
It is the
Yeah, that's how it's
I
known.
like it,
In the NBA, that's well, in the US, that's what it'll be known as, especially with All-Star games.
Yeah.
I mean, it was incorporated in year 2 of the league when they had the bubble. And at first, I was like, I don't know about this. But the more I watch it, the more I enjoy it. Because the only part I don't like is I wish games wouldn't end on a free throw.
Yeah, so same here.
Outside of a free throw, I mean, to have every game end on a bucket is really cool. And you can have those. I mean, it hurts my heart, but I mean, Calgary had a 18-point comeback.
That was crazy. That was so insane.
And sometimes, you know what? When your team has a bigger lead in Elam ending, like you kind of just put your guard down. You think, oh yeah, we got this. But then, you know, the team that's battling from behind, they can just lock in on D and just say, hey, let's just get stops.
Yeah.
Let's just get stops. We have a chance.
That game, though, I don't know how many free throws were missed. Both teams. And there were so many chances to lock that win in, and they just couldn't get it done.
No, that was
The Stingers couldn't.
I know eliminating in the CBL, we know the quarters are usually 10-minute quarters. With eliminating time, a fourth quarter could last 11, 12, 13 minutes possibly. I like that. You can't just play for 10 minutes and run the clock out. You might be there for a while, which I love. It becomes an endurance battle if you miss shots and miss free throws.
Yeah,
We saw a lot of that game.
Yes.
A lot of that, Avery.
I love how, like, also just during the regular season, if there is a full blowout, like, you're not sitting there for another 5 minutes waiting for the clock, and then the fouling and stuff. Like, you could just, if it's a big blowout, like, you kind of like, hey, we're going to be out of here quickly. The one team that's close to the target, they're going to finish this off quickly. We could go home.
Yeah.
And then there are still the possibility for comebacks where it's wild. But so it's like, just for regular season, I think it just keeps the game nice and tidy and short. And like, I know that the Americans, they've seen it in the All-Star game and they've really come to love it. And I wonder at what point, how does the U.S. start adding this into their game or throwing this into their game? Like, they're adding that new trophy. I can't remember what it was called. But they're doing their little cup.
Oh yeah, the mid-season.
In-season tournament.
Do they add it into that? Like, do they have a different format for that or something? Because, you know, I think there's a lot of Americans that do watch that All-Star game and be like, I like this rule.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big fan of All-Star games in general. I think they can be, you know, quite boring.
Yeah.
The NBA All-Star game, as a kid, I always enjoyed watching it. You get to see the big dunks, you know, that kind of stuff. But it's not great basketball.
No.
But when they incorporated that first year, I think that was 2021 maybe?
2020.
2020?
Yeah,
2020?
yeah.
I can't remember. I was like, these guys are locked in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was like they were having fun, and then as soon as that Elam time came in, it was like they locked in. And then you could see it, you know, and it was fun, you know?
It's confusing. Like, when you first hear it, and when you first, like, okay, we're going to play to a certain time, and then whatever team's winning, we're going to add X amount of score on top of that, and then whoever gets to that score first wins the game type thing. Like, you go, what? Like, I'm so confused. But when you watch it and you start figuring out, you go, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's, trust me, I mean, it can be confusing for a lot of people. I mean, I had friends that came to games this year, and what is Elam? What is this?
It's amazing, is what you say. It's
and
great. You'll like it.
Yeah. You a big fan, Tommy?
I think it's brilliant. I honestly do, because you can't run out the clock. And it's just like, no,
exactly.
this team's still in it. They're down by 10 with 3 minutes left. Like, no, they still have a chance. It's okay.
At first I was skeptical, but the more I've watched it and as I've been part of it, you know, the league and how it's like, you get some really cool comebacks.
Yep.
You know, and some really drama-filled endings. I mean, yeah, the free throw ending. Yeah, that's not
Not sexy.
It's a little
not
anticlimactic.
sexy. A little anticlimactic, great.
Yeah.
But then there's those other games, though, in normal time where it ends because you just get the ball and you dribble it for a couple of minutes because
Yeah.
the game's over,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it's either way, you're going to have anticlimactic.
Hilsey, the free throw ending is not as bad as the rouge ending in the CFL.
No. That's a fun ending.
That was terrible.
When it's done and when
Get rid of it.
when they're
I like
punting
it.
back and forth and you're trying to see who can get the rouge, like you're trying to get it into the end zone for the 1 point. The other team's just trying to make sure it stays up. That is so much fun. We haven't had one of those in years.
Well, how about that game that the Elks lost on the...
Okay, but that was because that was a boneheaded play.
That was so stupid.
Well, learn the rules and get out of the end zone.
Yeah,
we should get rid of that rule.
And I mean, as a player, you should know that rule, but at the same time,
The coach should be
coach
telling.
should be telling them. Like,
Yes.
Hey, man, don't let the ball go through the end zone. Take it out.
Here's a question, though, I don't know the answer to now, and maybe if I was a journalist of any sort, I'd figure out the answer to this.
You're a broadcaster.
Thank you.
Yeah. There's a difference.
Because I'm with you, coach needs to tell him, but do we know that the coach
knew that rule.
told him, and he forgot even in that moment? There's a possibility you could have went, hey, CJ, if that ball goes in the end zone, you got to take it out. He caught it, and he completely just blanked, and he gave up the single point.
And
That's where I
It
don't
went
know
over
who to
his
blame.
head.
I don't know if it's player or coach to blame here. If the coach didn't tell him, it's all on the coach.
100%.
But if the coach told him and he still made that mistake, then it's all on him.
What would have been brilliant is if Avry was working sidelines for that game and ran behind him in a CFL penny, caught it, and punted it out.
With a fedora flying?
Yeah.
Would that have been legal, Tom? Would that be a
Yeah, you would
penalty
never
for-
work another CFL game for the rest of your life.
No,
but it would have been
Randy
the
Brody
moment
would
you
throw
would
me
have
out
been
of the
on
league for good.
Sky Sports, not just ESPN. Sky Sports if you did that.
No, Randy Brody would chuck me into a garbage bin right there and then in Mosaic if I did something like that.
He would.
Yes.
And someone would get video of it and
But
you'd
you'd
go
go
viral. And then
all
next
over
thing you know, you have a show
Stephen
on.
A. Smith is talking
Yeah,
about
exactly.
you, and
Yeah.
they're just you're all over the place.
Yeah.
There was a missed opportunity there, Avery.
You
why
should have
weren't
back-
you in Saskatchewan and why didn't you do that?
In your CFL penny with one phone, with one hand, and then catch it, punt it out, and be like, go get it.
Here's the thing about the rouge. You can't get rid of the rouge unless
I
there's
hate
probably
the
a few
rouge.
other rules you have to get rid of because it's rugby.
Oh,
It is,
Isn't it?
yes.
I mean,
so
It's
stupid.
like you got to get rid of that punt from this
So-
week.
Yeah, exactly.
I
Get rid
love
of it.
that rule. I love that punt.
it's been, so anyone who knows, so my father-in-law, okay, he's originally from the Bahamas, okay, and he loves football, okay, but he's just learning the CFL, so he's lived here in Canada for 2 years, okay, and so we'll sit down and we'll watch a game, and he's like, so you mean to tell me they can kick a field goal, and if they miss it, they get a point?
It rewards failure.
It's got to go through the end zone.
It rewards
So
It's
failure.
rugby.
This is
Go
football.
talk to rugby
See,
people.
Tom
then.
needs history. Tom needs football history.
No, that's a false statement. I just don't like the. We should have adapted
Okay.
by now these stupid rules in the Canadian football
When you go
league.
fix rugby first, then we could talk about
It's
the
not
CFL.
right. This is Canadian
It's
football.
built off
It
of that, though.
evolved
It's
out
the
of it.
foundation of this league.
Yeah, we can get
We're
rid
not
of the
going
dumb
to tear.
rules
We're
like
not going
that.
to tear. Then you're tearing down.
We're
the
not
foundation.
tearing the foundation. The field is
that's where it comes
is
from.
still huge. There's still 12 guys. There's still the waggle. The end zones can be 5 yards shorter. But now I'm on a rant. I'm sorry.
You know what?
Go ahead,
I'm
Will.
with you, Tommy. I'm
Yeah.
with you, Tommy.
Sorry,
Honestly,
sorry.
the single point, I don't like rewarding failure.
Yeah.
The single point, you know what I think? You know, you got the NFL scoregami.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's built for the CFL, right?
Oh, yeah.
You're gonna
Yeah.
get some random scores. You could have a scoregami every week in the CFL.
Yes.
You could.
It's a bit
But you
silly.
need the rouge for that,
Get
and
rid
that's
of
what
it.
makes it fun.
Yes, you can have scoregami, but I don't think they're going to be like, you know what? If we get rid of this rule, Hilsey, we lose scoregami.
I personally though, like you have guys coming up here.
Yes.
A lot of a lot of the players are American.
Yeah.
They don't know that rule.
So learn it.
Get rid of it.
You can learn it, but
But-
I'll tell you
Okay,
this.
but
Tom.
how many people come to Stingers and don't know the Elam rule fully, and they have to
Yeah,
learn
do
it?
you guys have to
Exactly.
teach them?
Yes, we
Yeah,
have to explain
okay.
it.
They don't
But we're
sit
not
there
gonna
and be like,
but you're not going to
"We're
see in
gonna-"
a CFL game and say put up a thing on the scoreboard saying, "Hey, this is a chance for a rouge."
Maybe we should. Maybe that's how you could home field advantage is so everyone like make sure that
It's just-
like the returner or something knows like don't give up the rouge.
It can cause. I just think like the rouge can cause a lot of chaos because
That's what makes it fun.
Maddie, I'll tell you this.
No, it makes it
for that
Silly.
for in that scenario for CJ. Okay?
Yeah.
I mean, when he has that ball, okay, and he has a split second decision, and those bullets are flying. Yeah, when you mentioned about maybe he forgot, maybe it's a possibility. He was told that, but then that scenario happens, and he's like, "Oh shit."
Yeah.
Oh,
But that's the thing. It's like, how many people in that moment saw him grab that football and stand for a split second and yelled at the TV, "Run, like go!"
Yeah.
I did. Like
I
it was
did.
right in that moment. You knew.
I
Like,
did
go.
I did
But
too.
in the NFL, you don't get the 9-point play like that. Snap of a finger, you had a 9-point swing. You don't
saved
get
the
that.
season.
And it's
Could have saved the season.
But then we might not have had Trey Ford.
Good point.
Yeah,
And everything. It's just like all the
butterfly
decade
effect.
of darkness. We wouldn't have had Connor McDavid in this city if the Oilers won a couple more games. If Dallas Aikens, like the only thing I give credit for to Dallas Aikens is he was bad enough. Well, I shouldn't say bad enough. He was terrible, and he brought the swarm defense,
Yeah,
which led to Connor
He's
McDavid.
got like the third worst winning percentage of all time, I believe. Yeah, you're right. That's a good point.
But it led to Connor McDavid.
It did.
Yeah.
Amazingly.
CJ Sims' era and the Rouge led to Trey Ford. That's the way to look at it.
Yeah, no, that's good. Now that we've entered the Trey Ford era, we can remove the rouge in the offseason.
That will not happen, Tom. You know that.
They need to.
It's not
Avery.
going to happen.
See, and that's
It's
the-
necessary.
That's something I'd be intrigued to talk to the American players about. And because the question that always gets brought up of the Americans is, should it go down to 4? Should we go to 4 downs in Canada?
No.
or stick with 3?
No.
I know, but there's a lot of American players coming up. Like Milt Steele, I think is one of the most famous ones that I could think of that used to play the game, not anymore, but says keep it as 3 downs. But you never have that question brought up of, what do you think of the Rouge? Should this league get rid of the Rouge? And I'd be
Yes.
very intrigued to see what the Americans think of this. And if they think, yeah, no, this is dumb, you should get rid of it. Because if they do, then okay, maybe there's a
Why are we
chance for-
basing it off of what the Americans think? It's our game. Let's just make our game better, so it's
okay,
not
it's
as
not better than the Rouge is the
confusing and
Canadian
dumb.
game. That's what makes it the Canadian
Canadian game is
Exactly.
beautiful,
If you're getting
except
rid
for
of
the
the
rouge.
If you're getting rid of the Rouge, you're now making it more of an American game at that point.
No, you're
No,
just
there's
making
still
it
so
make
many
sense.
There's still so many other rules that
Exactly,
make the
Jason, yeah.
CFL game
Exactly.
Canadian.
The essence is there. It's just, hey, what's going on? Why are we giving a point for that
What do people
punt? That's stupid.
The Rouge
Everybody said Canadians, Americans say
not
it. It's all
everyone's saying it.
everyone, except
I'm
for
not
like
saying it. Avery's not saying it. Tube Socks is saying not saying it.
I'll
He's
read
in the-
Tube Sock. I said
He's
Tube
not saying
Socks.
it.
We
There's
need
lot
to
of
have a
people not
chat.
saying it. Here's the thing: when people talk about the Canadian football game, like in general, they talk about 3 downs in the Rouge. That's one of the first things that comes out of people's mouth with the Canadian game.
Because it's silly.
Okay, but if you get rid of the Rouge, you're getting rid of the Canadian part of this.
No. Oh, but there's so much Canadianity in the game without the rouge.
But there's so many good things in the CFL. I don't sit there and watch a game and go, "Oh, the dang Rouge! I can't watch it." Like,
I hope they get a rouge on this play.
it's one thing, Tom. It's
Yeah, it's one terrible thing that can go, Avery. Get it out.
So don't listen to American players who come up here and populate the
Because
70% of the
we as
league.
Canadians should
Because
have enough
Canadians-
common sense to realize how dumb this is. Tube Sock says, I'm dipping into the inbox, 780-218-9999 if you want to chime in. Please, I know you're out there, people that believe me and are with me on this one. The rouge is an integral part of the game. I would be very sad if it never went away. It does not reward failure. It puts the onus on the other team to get the ball out. Once again, it is not rewarding failure. Tommy Gazzola, shut your mouth about removing
Thank
the
you, Tube
rouge.
Socks.
And then Belsey, Sean Bell, my co-host and good friend. You can catch us on Hello Hockey right here on EST, 10 o'clock a.m. to noon on Saturdays. Belsey says, attaboy, Tom. Get them. I love the rant. Might as well give out participation ribbons. Thank you, Belsey. Thank you.
Sean. Come on,
I'll
man.
just
Sean,
say,
no.
how did
brother.
your Dolphins do against the Bills this weekend,
Fins
Sean?
down. Fins down.
I don't put just a couple more quick from the nasty chat. I just want to throw. There's a few more. Abutski 05. Tom hates Canada. Maybe that's why he spoiled the ending of Amazing Race Canada. Christopher says no removing the rouge. Do not touch that rule. And Dan Spence says rouge is part of the CFL charm. I love the rouge. So, there's not even anyone in the nasty chat that's in favor. You got your co-host, and that's it. And again, fins down, Sean.
I
Good
agree
on
with
you,
Sean.
Tom.
Yeah,
Jason.
whatever.
By the way, Jason Hill's the Edmonton Stingers, Avry Lewis-McDougall, AverySports.com, right?
That's correct.
.com. They're here on the EST Hangout. Matt Iwanyk, Tom Gazzola with you here as well. I understand that a lot of the audio is coming in one channel, not both. Hopefully we'll get that corrected as we get into the second hour. Jason.
Here's the thing, though. What I find, you see it when you will go watch university football.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go Bears.
Go Bears, who are having a fantastic
Great year
Yes,
for them
by the
so
way.
far.
I've seen it before where if they, on a kickoff, they can just, okay, no, we're going to start on I think it's the 30. So if they don't get it out of the end zone,
35, 30 or
I think it's
35?
30 or 35.
Yeah.
Might be the 40 now.
they move it, they moved
keep
it.
they've
Yeah.
kept
So
moving
again,
it.
like why?
Why do they get the ball?
Like that's what I'm saying though. Like if you're going to kick it in the end zone, run it out. So if you don't get it to the I think it's if you don't get it to 20, they move it up to the 20. I think is what it is. My point being is like we're getting back to the rouge here. Like,
Let's.
there's another rule. Like
So yeah, okay. So
if you're
this
encouraging
is,
to get the ball out.
yeah. So
to the
we're
end
saying
zone.
like run it out if you don't get past a certain mark.
If you run it out and you get to the 8-yard line, you should start on the 8-yard line. That's what I'm saying.
I think. Well, the reason that rule I think is, at least in the NFL, is kind of come or like because where's that rule? That's not the CFL, is it?
No, I've seen it.
I think it's in college maybe or something.
Yeah.
One of the reasons is we're seeing so many touchbacks.
Like
They're
every
trying.
kickoff.
Yeah.
They're trying to encourage kick returns again,
Which is fine.
and so it's like, hey, run it out. But if you don't get to a certain yard line, we'll place it at this large yard
Yeah, I think
line
they
for you.
backed it up, right? To the 25
Think
instead
something
of
like that.
35? Yeah, something like
And
that.
I understand that that's trying to get the kick returns going.
I'm all for that.
Please, yeah.
I want to see that.
yeah.
But if you run it out and you only get to the 8, then are you encouraging that? Because then you'd be like, well, if I run it out and I only get to the 8, we'll start at the 25.
Give up a point.
Oh, you won't be giving up that point if you run it out to the 8.
Yeah, no, I know. But like if you let it go through, you're giving up a point.
Yeah.
That's why it's dumb. That's why it's dumb.
I'm all for encouraging like kickoff.
Kick returns.
Kick
Wow.
Yes.
Because you want to see that.
You want to see these
I wouldn't
athletes
mind
perform
seeing
the way they can.
The XFL rules of that they had with that, where I can't remember fully how it went, but
It was like the kick had to go, the team had to receive,
but they
then
were
you could-
standing at the
they
they
were
were standing
staggered.
closer.
yeah.
Yes.
Then they
And-
could.
And there was that seemed pretty interesting. 05 lost Aussie also says, Tommy, you're talking about scoring a point on the Rouge. You have the loser point in hockey. That's the true participation point. You have
That can
rugby
go
and Aussie
too.
rules mixed up for the miss. So
That
like, and
the loser point can go too. I
But
don't
it-
care for it.
What about this though? If in hockey, what if they changed it up and they went 3 points in regulation, 2 points with an overtime or shootout win? And
That's
then-
interesting. I have time for that.
because
But
then,
n-
like I hate the shootout. I hate it. But at least if you reward 2, then if you get in a shootout win, you get 1. Loser gets 0. Because then it's gonna force you like, if it gets to overtime, then okay, we're gonna play for 2 points here.
Yeah.
So many times you say, well, let's just get to the shootout. You know,
Oh, you see it a lot.
Yeah.
we're just gonna get
Yeah.
2 points anyway. Let's get
How
to the
about take
shootout.
away the loser point outright?
That's
there's that,
Yeah.
or
that's
like
what I'm saying.
Yeah, just take it away.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
or that's where you go to a soccer model type thing. 3 points is on the line. If you win, you get 3 points. If it goes to overtime, 1 point goes away. You know, and like maybe there or like, I guess it wouldn't be full soccer that way because there's no draws.
Right.
But okay, 3 points for a win, 1 point for an overtime loss, 2 points for an overtime win, and I say shootout, you get 1 point for an overtime or a shootout win, or 2 points for a shootout win, and 0 for a loss in shootout. And you slowly change, you know, what you can get when you're losing, and you take away also from the wins what you get.
I would be all on board for that.
Yeah,
'Cause
it would-
I'm not a fan of the shootout anyway. Like I wish they would stick to 3-on-3, go 10 minutes. If you have.
End it.
Just end
Yeah.
it.
It'll happen.
I've said it before, and this is bold. 5-on-5, 3-on-3, then 5 minutes of 2-on-2. I want to see like how cool.
You're
would it
crazy.
Be? How cool to be to see 2-on-2 overtime. McDavid Draisaitl against say McKinnon and Makar.
Turning
That would
this
be
into
sick.
Edmonton minor hockey week here.
Yeah, then go to
We're gonna go
1-on-1.
1-on-1.
No,
I had to go
no,
1-on-1
2-on-2.
against Tyler Spurgeon. We lost. Back in Pee Wee. Just saying. I remember.
Is it
Is it
footage?
1-on-1 at least?
Is it
Minor
footage that
hockey
game?
I got a chance, didn't score, and he went back and buried.
Um,
Then he got drafted by the Oilers.
Yeah.
So if you scored, you'd have been an NHLer then, and Tyler would have been here
Exactly.
hosting EST.
Yes.
You might have went on to a career with the Kelowna Rockets and now into the NHL.
I love Kelowna.
I know.
if you went 10 minutes 3-on-3,
It ends.
how much does that change the coaching's throwing guys out there? Like, because right now 5-on-5, you've got 2 lines basically that go out there. You don't go down
Yeah.
your bench that much. Does your bench lengthen if you're going 10 minutes? Because if it
A little
you
bit.
gotta
Yeah.
get them their rest. You can't have McDavid and Draisaitl going out every second shift for 10 minutes.
So you have
If
three.
it goes long, are
three
you adding an
trios.
extra line? Or
Yeah, you're adding one more, but because you need to make sure you guys rest up. I think you add one more, and then you kind of play it up by ear. How are you guys feeling? Are they tired? Are you noticing?
You say
them?
5-on-5, then 2-on-2?
Yeah, or no, sorry, no.
3-on-3, then 2-on-2.
Oh,
Fi-
3
yeah,
on
fi-
3.
yeah,
then
5
2.
minutes, 5 minutes of 3-on-3, and 5 minutes of 2-on-2.
Okay, I thought you said five minutes of 5-on-5 and then
No, we
That
don't
means
need 5-on-5 and
No, no,
overtime
No,
anymore.
no.
if you went
We
3-on-3.
need to end this game.
The worry I have about once the Stars stop playing 3-on-3 is it's
Mm.
actually not that fun when it's 3-on-3 and they're not the best players in the world. Yeah, I remember the 18 Olympics in South Korea, and they had 3-on-3 and watching and going, this doesn't compare. Like, they're fine players, obviously, they're great, but that open ice, you give McDavid that open ice and he's going to do some amazing things. You give just that average NHL open ice and it's just like, okay, well, this is all right. It's not as spectacular as 3-on-3 with a McKinnon out there and a McCarr out there and a Matthews and a Marner and all of that. And if you go 10 minutes, does the value actually drop a little bit? Are we going to have a little more time at times where we're going, these guys really? That's the only worry I have. Is I just go back to that 18 Olympics and I remember watching that one and wasn't a big fan of that.
Jason and Leduc chimes in via the text line 780-218-9999. Jason Leduc says, why anyone would be sad about the effing rouge is beyond me. It's 1 point. Who cares? It's dumb, but we gotta be unique, I guess. And why is it named after the color red? Dumb, dumb, dumb. Loser point is dumber than the red point, but not by much. Can't believe that a league allows some games to have more points handed out than other games in the same effing league. Grr. Jason and Leduc.
I will
signs
flip that back to
one.
Jason and Leduc.
Okay,
and
here we go.
If it's only 1 point, who cares that it gets awarded?
He said that.
No, he's saying that
Yeah, I know.
like it taking it away. I'm saying who cares if it's still there being awarded? We could just leave it. Just leave it as
get
is.
rid
The
of it.
league has been going. We've had how many Grey Cups? We've had this
Stupid.
league for how long? It works. It's working. So we could live with it.
Maddie, a few years ago, probably about 3 or 4 years ago, I went to a friend of mine's son's high school football game. Went to Clark. They said, hey, you want to come watch? I was like, yeah, okay. I'll come watch. I love watching football. You know what the final score was?
3-0.
2-1.
Awesome.
So 3 rouges.
Barn
Okay,
burner
but if there's no
Hillsy.
rouge, it's 0-0.
And it was minus 24.
But if there's no rouge, it's 0-0.
They go in overtime. They get something.
Yeah, but then, so for 60 minutes, it's 0-0. At least the game you saw 3 points get scored. The flip side is that's a 0-0 football game, and is that more fun?
No.
And if it goes to overtime, they might not score.
That's true. That would have been an extra 5 minutes out in the cold, but hey, I mean,
See,
Yeah, we need the rouge.
also too, sitting minus 24. Hell no. I sat in the cold for the 2010 Grey Cup. Never again.
No,
Never again.
no.
Give me a dome. Put a dome on Commonwealth. Dome, please.
No.
Avery, you're showing how soft you are here, man.
No.
Well, did you see
I
that
like
winter
it.
coat he was wearing last year? Like,
It's true.
yeah, that thing was it probably had a heater pack and a cooler pack
Some
in
of the
it.
best sporting moments are when the elements come into play. Actually,
To an
that's true.
extent. To an
And
extent.
The 03 Heritage Classic, the
Ridiculous.
10 Grey Cup,
I didn't mind that one.
2021 World Cup qualifying, the second game against Mexico here in
Okay,
Edmonton.
that was cool.
That was awesome.
ACDC at Commonwealth Stadium, August 2009, when it was pouring rain, thunder and lightning during Thunderstruck. The elements add to it, and they
100%.
make things better.
Yeah, I'm with you, but and Hillsy back me up on this. but
We
if
just
it
said
gets
agree.
too extreme,
Yeah.
it's it's not even fair, and it becomes not fun.
What's too extreme?
Minus 25 where you're
No,
trying to play.
it was a wonderful time. Heritage Classic was great.
You know what?
The 10 Grey Cup was great.
Did you watch it
And
from the comfort of your warm home that day?
No, I was at the
And
stadium.
you loved it?
I was more than fine. I
Dustin
got
Nielsen almost lost
frostbite.
4 toes that day.
I got frostbite on a couple toes. I was fine.
So why are they not having it this year? Because
they're smart.
Exactly.
Because you're wanting it for the game. Well, yeah, you would hope that it doesn't turn that way. And for the game itself, for the players, yeah, you don't want that. At fan experience, the memories you walk away from, how many people walk away from that 03 Heritage Classic and talk about it as the first one, but also say, it was so cold, it was awesome. That's what
agree.
they talk about.
But they just talk about how cold it is. When Maddie,
It makes it more memorable.
I agree. Those moments, yeah, they stick out. But as I've gotten older, man, I don't know. You gotta. That's tough. That's tough.
Like, and the perfect thing for me, did you go to the Canada soccer games?
I did, yes. I
Both
was
of
there,
them?
Matt. Yep.
And did you like the Mexico game or the Costa Rica game more? Which one better?
Mexico game.
And that was the cold game.
'Cause
And that had the snow and it had all the elements to it.
It worked for us.
It was one
I
of the-
admit. It was fun.
It was one of the coldest games in soccer history.
And that's about the experience.
Yes.
You don't see that. You don't see that. How many soccer games do you watch on TV where you see something like that?
Well,
You
not
don't.
many.
You don't.
But
It's
that's
rare.
where I'm thinking, like, as a fan perspective, going
Yeah.
to something,
That-
that's what I want. Or not, like, I don't want it all the time. I don't want to go to every game in minus 45 because then it loses it. But if the Heritage Classic at the end of October ends up being minus 20 still, that's going to be a fun time.
It'll be a fun.
Better
time.
not be.
You know what? I'll have a great time in the press box.
That's cool. I'll find a way to sit outside and enjoy
Oh, you
the
can
hell
have
out
my
of that.
seat. I don't think. I don't have
Like,
it.
you'll be,
You can have it.
like,
You can have it.
because, like, even the Ice Teca game, me and Eric had a great time walking to the stadium through the snow.
Thermal socks.
We, I had good boots on.
That's
Really
important.
good boots
Yeah,
on.
good
I'm
call.
never good. Like, I usually, my feet, I never look after them well enough.
You need to.
And-
Did you get the hand warmers, the boot
Hot
A
warmers?
little bit,
pockets.
actually, not
The
that
hot
much.
pockets?
yeah, those
I
are
was,
good.
I was pretty like, I just
There's
needed
a way
couple
to-
gloves.
Like 2010 Grey Cup, Avery, you were talking about. Like
Yes.
I was layered to the nines, and I had a good time. Like I was good.
see,
Yeah,
you can enjoy it.
yeah, but that wasn't minus 25, and you weren't sitting out there for 8 hours in 2 games.
It was still cool as hell that day for the 2010 Grey Cup. That was still brutal either way.
It was cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cold. The 2018 Grey Cup was pleasant. I thought
except
that
for
was-
the
It
field.
was.
the field. What did they do for the field there?
So, what do I? Because
did they cover it and then they took the
Yeah,
covering off and,
and
they
then
tried to blow heat?
One,
and
the
it created-
fields also, it was a soccer turf, not a football turf
Yes.
for the 2015 Women's World Cup.
Yeah, it still is that one.
and it, at like minus 5 or something like that, it freezes.
Mm-hmm.
And it then just becomes slippery because soccer's not generally used to that
Yeah.
as opposed to football
yeah.
is. And so then it was just completely slippery and it just made a mess of that game.
It did.
So,
And that's like it's fun to watch if you're watching that stuff on TV. It's like, oh, I remember watching a Bills Colts game about 3 years ago, and it was an absolute snowstorm. You couldn't, and I'm like, well, you're gonna see like very few passes, a lot of runs, and you're watching on
Fumbles.
TV, fumbles.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, and it was entertaining to watch. But if I was in Buffalo that day, that would have been tough to sit through.
Hillsy Buffalo, like there was I was there obviously for Oilers and Sabres, but that lake effect, that wind chill,
Cold.
it's on a
Oh,
different level.
God.
And
Yeah.
I made the mistake. I think it was like 2011, 2012. Just in jest kind of tweeted, I'm like, Buffalo is the coldest city I've ever been to, and I'm a kid from Edmonton. And one of the local radio guys in Buffalo retweeted it, and I just got murdered and assaulted on Twitter by people from Buffalo. But it really, like, you know how we get cold here, but you layer up, and you should generally be okay. Minus 40 is extreme, obviously, we know that. But there, it just bites right through you can be layered up, and it chills you to the bone. So that cold, when they play in those elements, I'm like, ooh, I know that, and it's not good. No,
Not good.
it's harsher than when it's super cold here to an extent.
And it's like I played high school football. I remember playing in a game. It was probably about minus 15, and you get tackled, and it's like the ground was rock hard. It felt like,
Oh, yeah.
and like guys were getting cut because like the ground was frozen,
Yeah.
and they'd get tackled, and their jerseys were getting like shredded, and like the ice.
You're
and
falling on ice.
Oh, yeah.
It's hard. Yeah, it hurts.
It was, and we were in high school. And like in the moment, we're like, "Oh, this is fun." But now, when I look back on it, I'm like,
That's dangerous.
Jesus, we were stupid. You know, it was a fun experience at the time, but those elements aren't fun to play.
No.
I want to go into the inbox one more time from Tube Socks. He's calling Avry out. Can I read it?
Uh-oh.
Matthew? Avry, you ready for this, buddy?
I'm ready.
Tube Socks says, who the hell wants to sit inside a dome? Disappointing to find out how soft Avry is. Boom! Tube Socks is not happy with you.
I like warmth.
Me too, actually. I will never complain about heat.
Yeah.
I like being hot too. I like the plus 40, but give me that sporting event in extreme weather.
Yeah, because you don't have to
great.
be out there.
I don't care about the players at that. I'm talking about as the fan. I'll be out there as a fan. I just explained the multiple occasions I've been out there as a fan and how I enjoyed them. So
Fair enough. My point is
it's like I don't mind golfing in like terrible rain.
you're going to be out
Wind
there
sucks.
October 11th
Rain.
at the ranch because that's the last day it's open.
I wish I could. I wish I
You
could.
like golfing in the rain?
I don't mind it.
I'd rather
I don't
golf
mind
in
it.
the wind than the
I
rain.
hate the wind. Wind is the because it's
Wind
also,
is awful.
it
It's
messes
not
with your
fun.
shot too. The one thing I learned about rain is walk. Don't ride your cart. I did a one where it was pouring rain. They wouldn't let us take a cart, and we had to walk it. And you're not constantly sitting on the wet seat. And I don't know, that in itself,
the towel.
but that keeps
The
getting
towel.
wet. That
Yeah,
in
it does.
itself just made me feel a little drier, even though I'm not dry.
Yeah.
It just felt a little better. And then, but the only problem is the gloves. You need multiple gloves.
you need
to
multiple
keep
gloves.
You
Or
need
you,
like
or you get the rain gloves they have now.
yes,
Oh,
I need to get those.
Yeah.
But what I do is when my gloves get a little rip in them, and I'm switching to a new glove, I hold on to those gloves, and they become when it rains.
The
I
rain
just
glove.
use those ones.
Smart.
fair.
And I keep
That's
those
fair.
going.
Smart.
Avry Lewis-McDougall, Jason Hills, Tom Gazzola, Iwanyk with you here on the EST Hangout. You're listening on EdmontonSportsTalk.com in one ear, not the other, as well as watching on YouTube. Hopefully we'll get that fixed
Maddie's
when we
on
come
it.
back. I'll take this time to see if I could quickly fix this, but we'll be back here on the EST Hangout in just a few minutes. We'll be right back.
The Nielsen Show.
Elks kicker Dean Faithful had that project management job.
Well, you're an adult now.
I was an adult. Yeah, I'd grown up earning some money, and mum and dad were proud.
Yeah.
You know, and I
Who's
went,
your son? He's a project manager. It's a big deal. Yeah.
he manages projects, which don't know what that means.
No,
you know.
nobody does.
No, I think in my interview for that job, why do you think you can be a project manager? I said it's like making a sandwich. A project's like making a sandwich. You get 2 bits of bread, you get your meat, and you slap it together. And they were like, "You like that?" And I think, I think that's what got me the job. I was like, "Yeah, it's as simple as making a sandwich."
The Nielsen Show featuring Lieutenant Eric. Weekday mornings at 6, only on Edmonton Sports Talk. Join friend of EST, Guy Flaming, for the Pipeline Show, Monday nights at 8 and Saturday at noon, as he has you covered with CHL, CJHL, USHL, NAHL, NCAA, and U Sports, plus the World Juniors, Frozen Four, and NHL Draft on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Friend of EST, Eric Thomas, takes you around the track all the way to the checkered flag on Raceline Radio, Tuesday nights at 8 and Saturday morning at 9. It's at sportstalk.com. Catch up with friends of EST, Andrew, Mike, and Kayla, as they get you in the huddle with the Edmonton Elks on the Turf District, Thursday nights at 8 at sportstalk.com. Tom Gazzola and Sean Bell take you on a hot lap around the NHL with Hello Hockey, Saturday mornings at 10, only on Edmonton Sports Talk. The Elks Call is the newest Edmonton Elks podcast, located in Edmonton, discussing everything Elks. Join friends of EST, Scout, and Catherine, Saturday nights at 8 on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Get to know the winners, props, plays, parlays, and more with Nielsen and Hustler. Weekday mornings at 11 on The Lock Shop. Only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Get all the the latest news and takes on everything Oilers with Dustin Nielsen and Tom Gazzola on the Oil Stream. Live at noon, Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. Only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. The Nielsen Show.
I keep thinking of Shomeat Ohtani. I want like a beef form of Shohei Ohtani, just a ground beef sitting here, and we pick at it. We call it Shomeat Ohtani, and we just keep. I'm ripping off an arm. And we got to eat the whole every
time we do the segment, we have to wheel in what's left of Shomeat Ohtani.
Every time you say Shomeat, I can't get it out of my head. A couple pimentos as the eyes.
Shomeat Ohtani is one of my favorite things you've ever said.
Angel's
We've been
cap on
together.
The Nielsen Show featuring Lieutenant Eric. Weekday mornings at 6, only on Edmonton Sports Talk. Friend of EST, Eric Thomas, takes you around the track all the way to the checkered flag on Raceline Radio. Tuesday nights at 8 and Saturday morning at 9. Only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. The Elks Call is the newest Edmonton Elks podcast, located in Edmonton, discussing everything Elks. Join friends of EST, Scout and Catherine, Friday nights at 8 on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Join friend of EST, Guy Flaming, for the Pipeline Show, Monday nights at 8 and Saturday at noon, as he has you covered with CHL, CJHL, USHL, NAHL, NCAA, and U Sports, plus the World Juniors, Frozen Four, and NHL Draft on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Tom Gazzola and Sean Bell take you on a hot lap around the NHL with Hello Hockey, Saturday mornings at 10, only on Edmonton Sports Talk. Catch up with friends of EST, Andrew, Mike, and Kayla, as they get you in the huddle with the Edmonton Elks on the Turf District. Thursday nights at 8, EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Get to know the winners, props, plays, parlays, and more with Nielsen and Hustler. Weekday mornings at 11 on The Lock Shop. Only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Get all the latest news and takes on everything Oilers with Dustin Nielsen and Tom Gazzola on the Oil Stream. Live at noon, Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. Only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
And we're back here on the EST Hangout. Matt Iwanyk, Tom Gazzola with you here alongside Avry Lewis-McDougall from AvrySports.com and Jason Hills of the Edmonton Stingers. We are still only in one ear of yours, whether you're listening on EdmontonSportsTalk.com or listening on YouTube. For some reason, this program doesn't want to take our stereo mix and put it into mono, even though I'm clicking everything that's supposed to send it into mono.
You're trying.
And I think the only fix would be to shut down our program, but to do that would shut down the YouTube stream and our audio stream. So it's not feasible until 10 o'clock when we're done with the EST Hangout. So apologies for that today. We'll have that fixed for tomorrow. But yeah, the number one solution any IT person tells you is restart it.
It's true.
I
Well,
can't
did you restart it?
I can't restart it. So that's going to...
We'll survive.
Otherwise, that would be a little bit of an issue. So I'm figuring one ear's better than no ears.
Absolutely.
That's the way I'm looking at it. Keep it locked to Edmonton Sports Talk this month as we are going to unveil some merchandise that can be sold. I'm wearing the hoodie. We have shirts, hats. We have a couple of other things we're working on, courtesy our friends at the Hive Product Marketing, official merch partner of Edmonton Sports Talk, promotional products that bring the buzz. Check them out at thehiveproductmarketing.com. Ask for Chelsea. She'll take good care
Chelsea's
of you.
Awesome.
I am seeing Chelsea tomorrow.
She's awesome.
To discuss some things. So I'm excited about that. Also, she has a newborn from this year. And
Young Frederick.
I'm excited to see
He's
the
adorable.
newborn.
I haven't seen the kid not smiling.
Yeah, no. So I'm going to take the
Good
chance
genes.
to actually just go visit the kid, and I'll make it a work thing. You're saying
Yeah.
was
Your
that your
little
first
one, yeah.
or?
So yeah, well, my wife and I, it's our first together. We have a daughter as well. Man, He's 3.5 months, almost 4 months now, and
How's that been?
it's been. You know what? He's a good baby. I was actually just saying that this morning. Like, you hear all the horror stories of you don't get a lot of sleep and all that kind of stuff, and he's very good. He gets up about every 2 to 3 hours. I feed him, and he goes right back to sleep. So he's pretty low maintenance right now, which is
Well,
pretty
that's good.
good.
Well, right at the start of Stinger season.
Yeah.
How was that? Like,
Oh man,
Not busy at all, Hillsy.
yeah, it was one of those things where we kind of knew, like, there was a couple dates we had, and I was like, he might be born on a game day, so I might not be in that day, which was understandable.
No fights on the sidelines.
But he ended up coming in a little bit early, which was okay. And all things worked out. My wife was a champ throughout the whole process. I just did everything I could to support her throughout the whole thing, and it was an amazing experience. I love being a dad.
that's where we could all agree that men are just soft compared to the women. Just
Yes.
straight up. Well, like we could just we know that
Absolutely.
part right there. Like,
Pain threshold, ladies,
yeah, like
men.
there's
Yeah.
no.
And you know what? I tend to pride myself on my pain threshold. I think
I've given up on
as
that.
a man. I'm like, hey, I have a pretty strong pain threshold, but what women go through in labor, that's a whole other level of pain threshold. I don't even want to touch it. It's
Props to all you women out there. Just
Yes.
straight up props to you.
yes.
Yeah, I couldn't do that. No.
Physically, you cannot either.
No,
Biologically,
I understand
it
that
doesn't
part.
work that
I'm just
way.
saying pain. No, I'm a wuss.
Yeah.
I'm a wuss.
Yeah.
In that, I'm good with apparently weather. That's the only time I'm not. Everything else, I'm a wuss.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want me to.
I just
I've grown
baby.
squeamish in my older age.
Have you?
I can't see like blood injuries, like football injuries, like
oh
So like, was it the Barkley play, or who got hurt recently on with Joe Buck and Troy Aikman? They're like, we're not
Nick
showing you that
Chubb.
play.
Nick
Nick
Chubb.
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 Yes.
Yeah,
Like,
that
you
one
couldn't
I
see
was
that
like,
one?
No, thank you.
oh it was
Like, that was bad.
I remember someone showed me. I can't remember who it was. I think it was Jerry Fleming, former coach of the Bakersfield Condors, had some tendon work done in his elbow, and he had video of the surgery, and it's all sliced open, and they're like working his fingers, and I was like, oh. He's like, it's cool, isn't it? I'm like, no, this is awful.
Yeah.
Don't ever show me that. I'm gonna lose my lunch.
I can't do the inside of the body well,
Yeah,
but
it's
like the injuries, I could still like. I'm not.
like
I would
when-
rather see him once on TV.
Was
Like
it-
I want to see what happens. Joe Theismann,
no,
the Nick
thank
Chubb.
you. No,
I'm okay
Nope.
seeing those.
No,
I
I'm
don't
good
get
without
squeamish. I don't
seeing-
turn
yeah, no,
away
thanks.
on those ones.
No, like the one that I was okay with seeing, but then after I was like, oh no, that was terrible. I think it was J.C. Sherritt snapped his Achilles tendon, and you could actually see, but he had his socks on under, on his gear, and you could see the Achilles like spring up into the back of his
like Aaron Rodgers
leg.
this year.
Like Aaron Rodgers,
Yeah. And I was like, oh, wow. Oh, no, that is gross. And so they have to go up there, they have to pull it back down, reconnect it, heal it up. And I'm just like,
Like the worst one for me was watching Kevin Ware. I saw that live. Kevin Ware
Oh.
March Madness.
oh,
Yes.
jeez.
Like I was like, oh
Yes.
god, that was the worst one to me. Like to see a guy snap his shin and to see the shin exposed. Like I watched that live. Like oh my god, I had to turn away. Like no.
The,
No,
the other
thanks.
one was Paul George.
Paul George.
yeah.
Well, for me,
I don't know if I should say what I'm going to say, but I was like, his bone like nicked the floor.
Oh.
Yeah, no, that was
Like you
Yeah.
could see, like yeah, I know. See,
Okay, let's move on.
I'm done with that.
Let's move on. No,
But-
no more. Thank you.
The
This
fact
is
that he's
disgusting.
still playing basketball, even though I'm upset that he didn't choose the Lakers. Also, then to a degree, I'm also happy he didn't choose the Lakers, but he chose the Clippers. It's incredible.
Yeah.
You know, just that
Medicine,
what
science.
science could do, and like how these athletes can get back out there, and like we're talking about how gruesome those injuries are. Like Nick Chubb, there's a good chance he's gonna still play
I
in the
hope
NFL
so.
one day, and
Yeah.
or continue his career. And it's just like after you watch that type of thing, knowing that you could still, it's not like oh well, we'll never see him again,
Right.
type thing, and
Well,
that's it's nice to be.
Jack Eichel, Tyler Johnson with that disc inserted or like fused into their necks.
Mhm.
And it had never been done with a hockey player, and these guys are playing again. And Eichel with a lot of success. Johnson's finding his way back.
And for those guys, like for it never to be done on a hockey player, and,
Yeah.
and give them the option, and they're like, yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Like
I want to feel normal,
it-
be able to play.
I was reading up on Nick Backstrom, yesterday. And I mean, obviously, he had that hip surgery, and
Yeah.
he's finally now healthy. What these guys go through, what they put their bodies through, like
12 months of the year now, too.
oh
Yeah.
it's
Almost.
just it's incredible.
But we're talking the other day. Who were we talking with? We talked about the hips.
Yeah, Krishan.
Yeah,
Remember?
with
and
Crusher.
then we
yeah.
had, I think last week with Gager.
Yeah,
might have been
Gager,
here.
we're talking about the hips,
discussing
and now younger and younger goalies and even hockey players in general, you're hearing like double hip surgery for a 20. Like Jesse Puljujarvi, to bring it close to home, had double hip surgery. They had to shave some stuff on his hips, but like he's 23, 24
And
years old.
I playing a lot of sports when I was younger. I actually injured my hip. That was the only injury I ever had playing a lot of high school sports. And I still, to this day, I have hip issues. And it gets to a point sometimes where it gets so bad I can't walk.
Yikes.
And I have to go to a chiropractor or get like a deep tissue massage. And it gets my feet. If I was to lay down on a bed, my feet are like this because my hip is so out of whack. And I'm not a professional athlete. And I'm in pain. I can't imagine what these guys are going through.
Well, that's why I don't mind when they walk away from the game because they say, no, I want to live a normal life when I'm done. I know that they're leaving potentially millions of dollars on the
Oscar
table,
Klefbom.
but
Like,
Oscar was
there's
the same.
a player there.
Yep.
Like he's probably going to have some pain for life, but that's one of the reasons we've heard that didn't pursue coming back
Yeah.
or something is because he wants to have a life after hockey where it's not every day just pain from wake to sleep.
Yeah.
Look at a guy like Patrice Bergeron. I mean, he retired at the. I mean, he could still play. He's
Sure.
still playing at such a high level.
Yeah.
He could still play. But you look at over the course of his career, the injuries he's had.
Yeah. Monster concussion early.
Concussion
in his,
issue early in his
Yeah.
career. The 2013 Stanley Cup final where he had, the collapsed lung and he had multiple injuries.
Him and Gregory Campbell. Gregory Campbell, didn't he have a broken leg?
Broken leg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like-
You
He
know,
finished that shift, didn't
And he
he?
finished
Yeah.
that shift on the PK. So as sad as it is to see a guy like Patrice Bergeron hang it up when you know he could still play,
Yeah.
he realizes, hey, you know what? I want to enjoy my life.
Hey, he put in a good 20 years of
And he
pro
played
hockey.
20
He played
years.
a long time, right?
But yeah, you see what a lot of these guys go through in their careers, and if they, you never want to be forced out, right?
Yeah.
If they
Yep.
come to their own terms and say, hey, you got to respect that.
Yeah.
No, I mean Andrew Luck retired at 29, and now he's living his life just fine. And people are saying, "Oh, you quit on your team. You quit on your team." Being a quarterback is so tough. To say, at 29, I go away with that and live my life how I want to. Like I applaud that.
I'll say this: I'm an Indianapolis Colts fan, okay, and it hurt me to see him retire.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to see him. No one wants to see that. And if it wasn't even my team, I wouldn't have wanted to see it. But I know what he went through early on in his career. He got hit. Ryan Grigson destroyed his career. Could not get an O-line to protect him. And he went through so many injuries. And, I mean, the guy went to Stanford. He's a smart guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's fine.
He's going to be all right.
He's going to be all right.
He made
figure it out.
100 and something
Yeah,
million playing
he's
too
good.
anyway.
He's
so.
good. It was
He's
just disappointing to
just
see
fine.
him having to, but he made that decision, and I have to you have to respect it. As a fan of the team, I have to respect it. He was unbelievable to watch in this short time that he played, but man, everything he went through, hey, you have to make. At least he's smart to make that decision. Some guys will just keep playing.
They'll try, keep going, and they'll get that next injury. Paris Jewelers inbox 780-218-9999 is how you can get in touch with us, or you can jump in the nasty chat. How many of you watched the Oilers preseason game last night?
I watched a little bit of it.
I watched parts of it.
I watched the whole thing.
So basically,
My
all
job.
of you, but well, to a degree, we're not doing pre-post, so
No, not yesterday. No. that's true.
fully. But you want to be ready for the regular season.
Thank you. Yes, let's put that on my playing card.
Do you take anything away from Jack Campbell's play yesterday? It was a big
Absolutely.
discussion of the Nielsen show this morning. If he plays the way he played yesterday, that the Oilers are in a pretty good spot. Gager came on, said he was the best player he saw last night. Gager's already starting to think maybe could he be an opening day starter for the Edmonton Oilers. As I was talking, I didn't hear what you said with that, Tommy, but so reiterate.
He was
Can
very
you-
good last
but
night.
can you
Yes,
take any?
Yes,
you can?
absolutely. You
Okay.
take stuff because now he's looking locked in. All he has to do is continue that in the regular season when he starts. And I think it will be Stuart Skinner still on opening night. Maybe we see Jack Campbell at that second game against Vancouver on the 14th here at home, and that's just fine. That's just fine. But the fact that he looks calm, cool, collected, composed, in control is very impressive because they got shelled last night, and he was the reason why they won. I think they had 3 goals on 11 shots at one point, but Jack Campbell was excellent once again. This is the guy they signed 5x5.
Yep. I think, personally, Jack Campbell has shown in the past that he can be that guy.
Yeah.
It's just when things start to go a little bit south, his mindset can kind of, you can see
Deviates, yeah.
It deviates.
Yeah.
His confidence goes, and then he can get in a slide. I think for the Oilers to have success this year, they need Jack Campbell. Do they need him to be that number one guy to carry the load? Not necessarily, because they have Stuart Skinner. But if they can have the 2 guys where they can split the starts, and maybe it's 50 to 32,
That's
40, 45 to
likely what we're
37.
going to see, Hilsey. And
that's fine. There's no. I don't look at it nowadays. I mean, you don't have the Mika Kiprasovs that are playing 75 games a year.
right.
You need to get both guys. You need to be able to count on both guys. And I mean, Jack Campbell's showing he can be that guy. Just last year, he got off to such a rough start, and then it just snowballed.
Yeah.
If he can manage the lows, I think he'll be fine.
Yeah. Like, all his team needs is Jack to be just okay. Just be okay, Jack, and his team will go far in Western Conference, I believe, in the playoffs. Just seem to be just okay.
Is there a chance that he could start opening day, though? Like, is there anything that can change your mind in the next 2 preseason games, the 2 and final, that would make you go, barring injury? Like, I'm going to take that one off the table here,
Yeah.
obviously. Is there a way that you think that Jay Woodcroft might have his head turn a little bit?
Stu Skinner gets lit up tomorrow, and it's his fault. That's what would change people's minds, because it's probably going to be Campbell's game at the end of the preseason on Friday, and then Skinner starts the season opener.
I know they're pros, but can you do that mentally to Stuart Skinner? How do you think he would, like, how do you think that would go? Like,
if he gets shelled tomorrow, and
like,
then
and if you start Jack Campbell on the season, because all summer I think everyone's saying
think
we're
he's
talking about Stuart Skinner being the starting goalie. We're talking about him. This is his net, and Jack Campbell, can he just be a good backup for this team? If an opening night, like Stuart Skinner even has a very poor preseason final game, Jack Campbell plays really well, and you go with Jack Campbell. I know, I'm just playing devil's advocate here for something. Hypothetical type thing. What would that do to Stuart Skinner mentally, where you're saying all summer you were the guy, but after a poor preseason game, we're going to go with Jack Campbell?
go ahead.
Or am I overthinking this completely?
No, it's okay to go down this road and explore it.
I don't think Stuart Skinner's that weak mentally. You know, I don't think he's a guy that if they did give the net to Jack Campbell in game one, that he's gonna be like, you know, butthurt about it. I think
Fair point.
I would hope not. You know, I think you look at the way some tandems work now in the league. You look at a team like Boston, for example. Last year, they had Linus Ullmark and they had Jeremy Swayman. You look at Jeremy Swayman's numbers. He had more shutouts than Linus Ullmark. His save percentage was right up there with Ullmark. I mean, a lot of it had to do with the way their system was. But you look at their team, for example, and last year, it didn't matter. There was no drop off. Whether with either guy, right?
Eric will tell you where it is.
And I think if the Oilers can have a similar situation where they can kind of have that confidence in both guys, and not have to worry about, okay, if we put Jack in tonight, is it, you know, are we going to have to really play on our toes? You know, I think that's the kind of the ideal situation you want. I just don't want it. You don't want it to be a situation where you're having to force one or the other to have to play more games than they should.
Hillsy, I think you nailed it off the top. Is one of the strengths of Stuart Skinner is he's mentally strong. You know, confidence. He has it. He believes in himself to bounce back. I think in a different way that Jack Campbell does. When Jack Campbell was at his lowest last year, it wore on him. You couldn't hide from it if you were Jack Campbell. Whereas Stu Skinner, like, you listen to him and he goes, you know, I'm thankful for the lesson. I kept that broken stick because it reminds me. Like, it's just that the mindsets are different, and I think that Stuart Skinner can let things slide off his back a little bit easier than Jack Campbell can, and that's something that needs to be noted. So if it is Jack Campbell on opening night on the 11th, I don't think Stuart Skinner is going, that should have been me. I'm rattled now. I'm in my own head. No, he knows he's starting that Saturday, hypothetically, and he has to go out there and play well.
And I think with Stuart Skinner as well, you look at it back at his junior career. He played on some real. He won a WHL championship with the Swift Current Broncos.
Yeah.
But prior to that, he played on some real tough
Crappy teams. Yeah.
So there were nights where he had to stand on his head and they'd lose. And then there were nights where he got shelled and he didn't play great. I think as a goalie, I never played the position, but I think if you have that kind of mentality of like, hey, you know what, I can just stand on my head and make 50 saves and we might lose, but I know I'm playing well. And then there's nights where, I'm not at my best, but hey, we're a team that he's kind of been in that experience. Where
he's got the baseline, whereas Campbell's a little bit more eccentric that way, right?
You look at Campbell over the course of his career prior to getting to the NHL, I don't think he ever played on any bad teams.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he's always had those good numbers. You know what I'm saying? So I think
the
experience-wise, I think
U.S.
mentally,
development team,
yeah, experience-wise, he hasn't had those rough patches. So now when he's hitting them in his pro career, maybe he doesn't know how to handle it. But he
handles it differently.
He handles it differently.
Yeah.
Right?
It affects him differently.
It affects him differently.
Sure.
And it's something
That's
he's
fair.
had to learn.
Yes.
You looked at it last year. There was probably times where he didn't necessarily handle it as good.
Mm-hmm.
When he was in Toronto, he had stretches where you'd think, geez, those are Vezina numbers. And then he would fall off the cliff a bit. And then have to build back up again. So, I think mentally this is something he's got to get over.
Yeah.
And he's still, I know he's getting up there, but he's still he hasn't really been a starter up until the last few years.
Correct.
Yeah. So he's still
late
learning.
bloomer.
Yeah.
Sean, do you want to get to that text?
Well, before we get to Sean's text,
Yeah.
I'll just read a couple. Actually, get to Sean's first.
Okay, we'll read Sean's right now, and then you want to go into the nasty chat?
Well, yeah, I think we could jump off this one a little quickly because
Okay.
I don't want to put this in the universe a week and a day away from the season.
Sean, via the inbox 780-218-9999 says, I see Skinner pulling an Alec Manoa, play so bad, get pulled, sent down to Baco for conditioning, and no show. Wouldn't that be something? I think Sean is doing one of these right now.
Yeah, I don't want to put that in the universe right now.
No bad vibes, no bad juju.
I don't need people coming after the EST Hangout because we did that.
Here's what I'll say about Skinner, though. Okay? I think, could he have a rougher year than last year?
Sure.
Last year, everything went well for him.
Except for the playoffs.
Except for playoffs. But I think at that point, he got burnt out. But could you see some hiccups in his game this year? Potentially.
I'm saying you have to.
But I don't,
development of goalies never just, or any player, is not just a straight line upwards.
But do I think it's going to be like this texter saying an Alex Manoah? No.
Well,
I don't think it's going to get that drastic. It would never get that drastic, I think, with a guy like Stuart Skinner. If he comes in and he doesn't maybe put up the numbers that he put up last year, that could happen. But that's part of the goalie's development. You're going to have up and down.
A comment comes into the nasty chat that kind of plays off of that I'll get to. I'll just read a few other ones first. Give Campbell the opener and get his confidence up early. Skinner can handle it. So this one person thinking that you just actually go to Campbell because it'll help him a little bit better. Echoes_Jigan. I'm probably saying that wrong. Maybe split the first two starts, go from there, which is something Tommy said.
I think they will.
97 Octane Hockey. Does it mean more to start the season opener, or does it mean more to start the first home game? Which
I don't. That's an interesting point. I think that used to have more meaning. Now I don't feel like these goalies have as much.
It's not like opening day
weight
in
into
baseball.
Yeah. Like
go back to the baseball. Route,
starting. I'm a starter on a basketball team. I don't think these goalies. I don't think for the most part. There might be some that would take offense, but I don't think, especially these guys, getting to know them, I don't think it really rattles them too much.
But to now play off of your comment about Skinner and if he comes down a little bit, Penny's. Penner's Pancakes says,
"Yum."
If Campbell just goes from an 888% save percentage to 908, that'll make a huge difference. Still not totally sold on deep pairings, and that's the thing here. Like Stuart Skinner had a good season last year, really good season.
Yes.
He was an all-star, but you look at his save percentage, and it wasn't surreal. It wasn't the Shesterkin from a couple years ago. It's not. We're not talking a 930 save percentage.
Yeah.
It's a number that is quite attainable.
Healthy.
And if he could drop a little bit even, it's still a really good number. If Jack Campbell comes up and just plays 900 save percentage hockey, that puts the Oilers just like, how many more wins is that? 3-4 wins maybe over the course of the season?
We're talking about a Pacific Division title in that case.
And potentially, well, last year wouldn't have been with how good Boston was, but maybe, this year President's Trophy
Perhaps.
conversation.
Maybe.
That's what happens.
In
and
that
how much does
stratosphere.
this team, and that's where I think this season a lot comes down to Campbell's play because, Skinner might still have a little bit of a, maybe not the same season last year, but, unless he does go, Alec Manoah type way.
Don't even think about it.
That's why I knocked on the table in the wood.
Yeah.
It will drop maybe a little bit. I don't think that's crazy to think, but there's a lot more growth that you could expect from Jack Campbell. That's realistic.
Yeah.
Like him going 888 again this year. That seems very unlikely.
Those averages had a lot of stank on them last year.
Right.
Yeah. But I'll say this too. I think there were games where the Oilers defensively were not great
Oh,
at all.
as a 5-man unit, they were porous.
They were not good.
Yeah.
That's something they need to get better at. They can score goals. It's a matter of keeping them out of their own net, and I think that's where, I think if the goalies can play, if Campbell and Skinner can play to what they're capable of, that's good. It's a matter of, okay, can the guys in front of them? Because,
Yes.
I mean, you don't want to be leaving your goalie out to dry.
That PK stunk to start the year. Their defensive zone coverage was awful, and then they weren't getting stops from Jack Campbell. That's why we were talking about a shaky-ish start for the Oilers, and then they rallied. And
I think a full year of Matthias Ekholm is going to help.
Of course.
It's going to help.
Hey, when he gets out there. When they practice today at 1 o'clock, I'll be down there. We'll do a rink report and all that good stuff. But we'll see if McLeod's out there. We'll see if Ekholm's out there. Like, at some point, these guys need to skate. I know that Jay Woodcroft said last week that they've been skating. Like, the injured guys do their own skates, rehabilitation skates and all of that. But we need to see them with the group in training camp. I know Ekholm's a veteran, sure, and McLeod's going into an important year. So we need to see these guys get out there.
Is it important that Ekholm's ready to go to start this season?
Yes.
Why?
Because you need to help the young defenseman still. I still think Bouchard could learn and take some lessons from playing with Ekholm. I'm not saying he needs to play with him every day. I would like to see Broberg with Ekholm, but it just makes the team better, and he needs to be out there from day one, get off to that great start, establish that you are a contender, and that happens with Matthias. Could they do it without Ekholm? Yeah, absolutely. So, but I think you need him
because the flip side to me is I would want to make sure he's 100% healthy, not even a single nick there. And because this team is good enough to make the playoffs, they should be good enough, I would think, without Matthias Ekholm to compete in the first few games.
Yeah,
it should getting off to a good start shouldn't be reliant exclusively on Matthias Ekholm.
I don't want to see them playing catch up though.
And with Tommy's point,
but is 2-3 games really playing catch up? Like,
yes,
and
missing an entire training camp, that is playing catch up. Even for a 33, 34-year-old defenseman that's played, 10 to 12 years in the National Hockey League, you're still playing catch up. This isn't like a D lineman that skips training camp, doesn't sign till the week of week 1 in the NFL because he just doesn't want to go through two-a-days. This is different. Like, you need to get your timing, your rhythm, you get on the same page with everybody. The new wrinkles that they put into their system work, he needs to actually see it in live action as opposed to just watching the video resting up his hip flexor. Same for McLeod. I think that this week, if they're not on the ice today or tomorrow, I'm worried because the Oilers and Woodcroft said, we're making sure. That was fine for the first week of training camp. Now I'm going, is it worse?
Saying I take the flip side. I'm with Jay Woodcroft that it's not a big deal. Like, because this team is they're not contenders only because of Matthias Ekholm. They're a good enough team, so they shouldn't get too far behind the 8 ball.
Yeah, but you're having to rely on an expanded role.
Right, but are the Oilers going to miss the playoffs because of a rough start to start October?
No.
That's the thing. So you have the rest of the season for him to play catch up. You have all of. I'm just going to taking October, even all this. You have November through April to make sure he's ready to go. He could play catch up, but you also took this month to make sure he's healthy, to make sure he's ready to go. Because in the end, all that matters in hockey is the last part of the season, not the front part of the season.
So yeah, I'll play devil's advocate here, though. You don't have Matthias Ekholm ready for the season.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to put in Philip Broberg in situations he might not be ready for.
Mm-hmm.
And like Tommy said, I mean, Evan Bouchard, yeah, he helps that power play. But, I mean, you got to admit, Tommy, his defensive game
It needs work.
It needs work.
It needs work.
I mean,
refinement.
But
it
then
needs a lot of work. A lot of work.
It's
And I
very
think
laissez-faire at times, isn't it?
it's got that
Casual.
very casual. Like there's no.
But he can improve it.
He-
Ekholm was a guy, Hilsey, that wasn't like people like, boy, this young defenseman's knocking it out of the park. It took years for him to
Right.
get there.
So if you have a guy like Bouchard and a guy like Broberg that are going to have to be put in situations because Ekholm isn't ready, and they're not, then you might be getting their confidence is like if Ekholm comes back and he's okay, you have him paired with Broberg. That's going to help Broberg,
100%.
right? If they decide to pair him with Bouchard, it'll help Bouchard. I mean, look at Bouchard once he was paired with him. I mean, Ekholm helped him a lot.
100% as well. But
So
even now we're
So you can
talking
still
about
get that.
nurse.
You get that in November or late October.
But
and you're still
then
good.
that-
We saw what he did to
Yes.
this team joining
It
partway
can
through the
happen.
season
Yeah,
last
yeah.
year. This
But-
guy can absolutely do it, and this team's not going to lose
It's going
games
to freak
fully.
people out, though.
That-
The
I don't-
fans
who
will freak
cares?
out,
You're gonna
and
have,
I
you're gonna
know.
have situations though. Look at Jack Campbell. He got off to a rough start, and he never recovered.
He had
So-
one really good month. He had a good January when Stuart Skinner was waiting for his back. Then it tapered off again.
Right.
You're right. Yeah.
So if you have Broberg putting in situations
Yeah.
where he's not ready, or Bouchard put in situations that he doesn't excel in defensively, and say he's out the first 3 weeks of the season or the first month, and you're putting these guys in those situations, they get off to a rough start, then all of a sudden it could snowball.
Well, but then
It
on the flip
could.
side of that to me then is this isn't then how true Stanley Cup contenders are you if one
Well,
defense
that's-
is going to completely take it? And we're not talking about a defender like Chris Prong or 06 type defense. We're a very solid defenseman. I don't want to
Very
take away
solid.
what Matthias Ekholm does because that blue line was way better with him when he came to Edmonton last year. But at some point, Bouchard's got to take a step up in his game and being an NHL defenseman, and
does he
you
have
shouldn't
it?
be worried about the confidence of him and then completely
Does he
going
have it
away. And
defensively, though?
well, maybe not fully, but again, so if this whole season's only on Matthias Ekholm, then in a way that
It's
if he goes
not.
down with injury, what happens to this team? Can they survive? Can they survive a Matthias
You're
Ekholm
putting a
injury
ton of
in
pressure.
January for 2 weeks?
Then it's like, what do we got in these guys? Can we rely on them?
And that's what you might get to start the season then instead here if he's not ready to
Well,
go. And that's where
yeah,
I'm not
and
as
that's why
worried
I'm
about
like-
this. And that's where, because I take the mindset of this. And again, Oiler fans, I'm sorry to try to rain on a
Debbie
parade.
Downer.
82 games don't matter to me. This
Yeah, no.
regular season doesn't matter to me. Get me to the playoffs so I can see what this team could do in the playoffs.
Yeah, but we all know.
I just get there healthy. 82 games is I just don't want to see injuries. I just don't want to see that. And if somebody gets injured, get healthy. Fix yourself as best as you can. Take a little extra time. Be ready for playoffs.
This isn't the 1988 Edmonton Oilers where they didn't have the greatest regular season in 87-88, but then when the playoffs came, they were immaculate. They had already won. This team still needs to kind of prove it and get there and
Prove what in
Reach
the
the
regular
summit.
season, though?
that they have arrived. I
I
think,
think we all know that they've arrived.
Well, there's I believe there's still some doubt in there. Is this team a true contender or
But-
is it like
but does
San
the regular
Jose?
season change that? No, it's all playoffs
Yes.
that changes that.
No, I think the
San
regular
Jose
season
is
does.
great regular season. They did it year in, year out. The reason we talk about San Jose being poor is because they couldn't win in the playoffs. What matters is the playoffs. They got to show it in the playoffs.
Yes, they do, but
So then that's where I
the
look at
path
this
to the
season and
playoffs
go,
is the regular season where you
Yeah.
establish, instill confidence, fear among your peers. I think it's very
every
important.
team will see Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl up against them and know right then and there, it doesn't matter what they did in the regular season. They could finish third in the Pacific and go, that's fear. We've
Matty,
got to deal with those two.
Well, but then you're only dealing with two guys. You can isolate them, you can blanket them, and then you don't have to worry about the rest of the team.
Yeah, you look at. Yeah, I
No,
still,
but I'm just saying, like, in general, the fear is going to always be there. The fear is there because
To
of
what
who this
extent?
team is.
I still have question marks on their defense.
Sure.
I mean, up front, when you have Draisaitl and you have McDavid, yeah, that's gonna.
I'm just glad you
There are a lot
didn't
of
say
holes.
you're worried about the fourth line. Thank you for not saying that.
Hey, I mean, they need to have guys that can fill in those spots.
Sure. But the
and
defense,
carve out that role. But
the
the issues
defense,
I find is on
okay.
defense. Because to me, I mean, Darnell Nurse gets a ton of flack in this fan base.
Does he? I'm
Okay.
being facetious.
I know you are.
He gets a ton.
A ton. And I think a lot of it's because of his contract. But the guy,
Of course.
a lot of times, he's covering up so many mistakes. And
Mm-hmm.
he's not an issue. He's not an issue on the back end. It's, okay, you got Echo. Great. You got Nurse. Great. Bouchard, for what he is offensively, I mean, he's dynamite. Defensively, he needs a lot of work. But then you got Broberg and CC. Or sorry, Broberg, CC, and
Kulak.
Kulak.
Kulak's
So
good.
Kulak and CC, I mean, they're going to be
CC
a
should
third
be
pair.
better.
Steady.
Should be.
But then here's my other point there, where like the regular season doesn't matter, is that you just look at last year. Stuart Skinner was great in the regular season, and it wasn't there in the playoffs. And you look at the way the Oilers played in the final 2 weeks of the regular season last year, and how great they were defensively. We didn't see that come playoff time, and it's just that things don't translate that.
I'll say this, though.
In the same line from regular season to playoffs, and that's where I just go
say
back
this,
to.
though.
I don't care about the regular season. Give me playoffs and make sure you're healthy for playoffs. Let's see what goes.
You talk about how well they were defensively in the later stages of the season, last 2 weeks. That was a soft schedule. The last 2 weeks of the season,
Yeah, it was.
it was soft. When you're playing Anaheim, when you're playing San Jose,
But they had Colorado in there, and they played them extremely well.
I think there was a
a
Vegas
mix.
game
There was
in
a
there.
good mix, I
Yes,
would say.
they had
But
Vegas once or
there was a
twice.
lot. Yeah.
and they had Colorado, and yes, those games, yes, they played good.
Mm-hmm.
But you had also some real
Crap teams in there.
crap teams in there.
I think San Jose, San Jose was
Um,
already planning their vacations and holidays
yeah.
at that point.
But ultimately, it's going to come down to, are they going to be able to play well enough defensively throughout this season and into the playoffs? And we'll see. That's the question mark. Are they a Stanley Cup contender? Yes, absolutely they are. But all these people that are saying, "Oh, we're winning the cup. We're winning the cup. We're winning the cup." Hold it. Like me personally, like look at what the Boston Bruins did last year.
Yeah.
Historic regular season, and then right near the end of the season, Bergeron gets hurt. Linus Ullmark's dealing with injuries. All of a sudden, they get nicked up, and they end up facing the Florida Panthers. And you can say they're number 8 seed. That Florida Panthers team last year, that's not a number 8. That's not a typical number 8 seed.
No, they were the best team the year
They were
before.
the best team the year before, and they added Matthew Tkachuk.
This proves
Yeah.
my point, though.
So
This season's about not the regular season standing. It's about being healthy come
Right.
playoff
So what
time.
I'm saying is, yeah, you need to be healthy.
That's
come
the
playoff
biggest
time.
point.
But
The
if you
biggest
didn't make the
thing matters.
playoffs, we're not even talking about the Florida Panthers.
But they're going to make the playoffs
one by
without
one
Matthias Ekholm
point.
to start the season.
Yeah, I know. We're talking about
That's where I like
Right,
to come
but
back.
what I'm
I'm
saying
okay
is-
if he's not ready to go for the first week. I'm not ready to panic about him at all or this team, because to me, make sure he's
Right.
absolutely healthy, because I don't want to risk a re-injury for later in the season.
And I understand that part of it. But what I'm saying is like, come playoff time, things can happen.
Oh, 100%.
Things can happen. You might face an opponent in the first round that you're not expecting, and all of a sudden, you could be like.
And
they
that's
could go
why
up there
seeding's not that big always in hockey.
and the Oilers could go and win the Stanley Cup this year, and people could say, "Yeah, we could call it happening." But they could also get knocked out in the second round again.
Heads will roll. Look who's back.
But if heads,
You don't have to slump down. You can just walk right through.
Yeah,
Everybody
people just walk in and out.
can do
Jet
that again.
bombers.
Actually, what was that little walk you did there?
that was like a duck walk.
Try
That
not
was
to get
weird.
his way.
No, you literally went right in front of the camera.
Oh,
You did.
Either way.
Hey, chronic nosebleeds suck, for the record.
Oh, that's what happened.
yes, yeah.
That's no fun.
Since I was a kid, I've gotten I average like 20 nosebleeds a year.
Oh.
Wow.
I don't know
Boys,
how our
mic's
building
up.
is.
Mic's up. Yeah, there we go. Avery,
we go.
get
I don't know
closer there,
how
buddy.
it is if we're humid or not in this. If we're a little drier
in this
office.
particular office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it's dry. It's like
So
it's
we're gonna have
been
a-
renovated.
We're
but
gonna
it's
have
a
a
building
it's been
from like
it's
the 60s
awfully
or 70s.
renovated. Awfully renovated.
Oh, well, what I miss?
A lot. You were gone for
an Oiler
45
discussion.
minutes.
A good Oiler discussion that we had
Kidding,
there.
Avery, I'm kidding, buddy.
But back to what I was saying though, like the expectations are always so high in the city. And
So what's a acceptable season for the Oilers this year for you? And
Hey.
Avery as well.
if they get to another conference finals again, or if they get to a Stanley Cup final, and if they lose out in those, hey, you know what? That's another step.
So conference final. You're good. Like
I think conference final
'cause
is the bare
It's
minimum.
the bare minimum.
Yeah.
I think the
Absolutely.
bare minimum. If they don't get to the conference final, then yeah, you could say it's a failure.
And you have to win a game in the conference final this time.
Yeah, but it to me like expectation. Like I've been around sports. I've been covering and been around sports in the city for 20 plus years, and I've been a part of sports teams, and you get so entrenched in that winning and losing, and it sucks. But so many little things have to happen and have to go right for it to. You can have a magical season, and then something goes wrong in the playoffs, and your season's done.
Mm-hmm.
True.
So, I've learned to appreciate the special moments over the course of a season. But if things don't end well, am I disappointed? Yes. But
Win or lose, you still booze.
Just mix in the water.
Mix in the water.
Got to mix in the water.
Well, there were some hard times in the decade of darkness. I'll tell you that much. And even as someone like that didn't get too invested in the wins and losses, you're around, like you said, a team so much, it just through osmosis it affects you.
It does. 100%.
It really does.
Yeah,
What's the bare minimum for this team?
It's got to be conference finals. It's got to be at least 6 or 7 games. It can't be conference finals and you're out in 4 or 5. You got to take that next step to either winning that conference final or challenging a top dog or getting to a cup final. You can't crash out in round 2 again. It can't happen.
Look at how long it took a guy like Alex Ovechkin.
Right?
Stamkos? Steven Stamkos.
Took a while, man.
It took a while. Like these things don't happen overnight.
Yep.
I mean,
yeah, in the city though, they I know
you do
like,
it
it's
now.
not. It is a recent success thing, but people go right back to the start of the decade of darkness and go, yeah, it may not be overnight, but longer than 10 years must be good.
Hey, when they start 3-2-1, I'm post game that 7th post game, and they have a tough night. There's gonna be Jim Benning should have been the GM. I'll get those texts.
I'm just intrigued if they go through the December slump again.
They might.
It's weird how it always happens.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't buy into it until a couple of years ago. I'm like, no, like December, January, they always go through this weird slump. No matter as much as the team changes, they still somehow lose these games and go through a time where you go, what's going on with this team? At the same time, it's clockwork. I'm hoping they got past that, or they're going to get past that this year.
Let's find out.
I really don't want to have those conversations in December, January about, well, is this team going to make the playoffs or not?
We had those last year, which was odd.
That's my point.
Like, I don't know. Yes.
Because there's some people that will sit there and be like, they're not going to make it.
Told you guys. Told you in September.
They're done. What can you get for Leon Draisaitl? Because you can't win with Draisaitl and McDavid together.
Believe it or not, those were texts we would get into the post-game show and in the morning on the other shows. And
not shocked.
The best, though, is when you get people that are like, I told you in October that this team didn't have the jam. And then you're like, hey, there's like 72 games left. Let's see what happens. And then,
But I want to give props to Tom doing the post-game show, dealing with those texts in the middle of the brew house in Ice District, dealing with like chaos around him. Wow.
Yeah,
like,
you came out and saw some of that in person.
I did see some of that chaos.
Like the on-air light, and people are like, hey, where's the bathroom? I'm like, I don't work here. I don't work here. But it's over there, around the corner, follow the lights. I'm on the air, by the way. Oh, sorry. Hopefully we're doing that again. So we'll see. But yeah.
Yeah, there's some weirdness of people. Like when I came to some of those, just how you have a headset on.
Yeah.
And I would jump on with you, Tom, sometimes too.
And
you're
like
talking.
A spaceship's worth of equipment in front of you.
And someone still comes up to you to try to talk, and then after like a little bit, like, oh, are you on the air? Yes, that's why the headset is on.
I have a great story. So the DJ we were at Ice House last year, and so the DJ, I'd sit underneath. If you didn't get there, I would sit underneath the stairs. Had a great setup. It was awesome. Could see everything. The connections were great, like to get all the hardware in place. And the DJ, this one DJ, new guy came in and he took up the whole area. And I'm like, oh, screw it. I got to go into like the booth behind. And it was against Toronto. And so I'm doing the show. Cass is at home and I'm taking calls. Connor's in the studio back at 1260 HQ. And this Leafs fan, I've got my laptop, I'm listening, I'm working the audio knob. Because, like, the knob, I would turn down my audio when I would have a guest on or we're running audio or anything like that so that you didn't hear the ambient noise from the bar because it would get really loud and rambunctious. And this dumbass Leafs fan. Turned out to be a couple of military guys. I love our military, obviously. And but this guy had been drinking all day, and he comes and he sits. I'm like, get the F out of here. I'm on the air. He's like, what are you doing? What is this stuff? And I'm like, I push the mic away. I'm like, I'm on the air, man. This is the Oilers post-game show. No, really? And I'm like, just sit there and shut up. And he's like, okay. And he's reading the text line. He's like, oh, you're on the radio. I throw it a break.
How was he reading the text line?
Because I have my computer right there. And finally, and you know the banners that said live pre and post game show, it was on the other side where the DJ was. And this guy, I take off my headset. I'm like, dude, you need to get the F out of here. Like, I'm literally on the radio trying to do a show. He's like, no way, I'm so sorry. Can I buy you a drink? I'm like, yes, you can. Then Cam Moon shows up. And then this other this Leafs fan's buddy shows up, and they're talking to Cam while I'm on the air, and they're having drinks. Shots are coming, and then there was this girl I was hanging out with at the time. She shows up while I'm on the air. She brings over, I think, like a tequila, and I'm just like, this is the worst. But at the same time, it was the best. I don't know how good that radio was, but it was a wild night. And then the icing on top was we go to the next commercial break. And Mooner looks at me, he goes, geez, these guys are a lot. I'm like, well, they're wasted. And they're military guys from Ontario. And then Mooner's eyes light up and he goes, look at your boy. And it was the guy that was sitting beside me. Brawl. He's gonna brawl with other Leafs fans. And he gets tossed out. I was like, hallelujah. Just another night on location post-game. Thank you for listening. This has been my TED Talk.
That's funny.
What are you doing? Are you on the radio?
But
Yes.
he's like 25 drinks deep.
Oh, he was in a different stratosphere at that point.
I have a funny story of this. So I do some work with McEwen over the course of the season. Just doing mainly game recaps.
Yep.
But there was a stretch right near the end of the season where their play-by-play guy just quit.
Oh.
So I got asked, hey, can you do play-by-play? I'm like, I've never done play-by-play. I've done color, but okay.
I'm deathly afraid of play-by-play.
I know, it's scary.
Yes.
So I ended up going to the first game, and they said, okay.
What sport?
Hockey.
Oh, okay, hockey.
And they said, I said, who's my color? And they say, oh, she's the backup goalie for McEwen.
Okay.
I said, okay.
All right.
No problem.
Yep.
I ended up doing the broadcast with her. But the funny thing is I said to her, do you want to do play-by-play or do you want to do color? She's like, I'll do play-by-play.
Really?
And I was like, okay. And I'm thinking, this is going to go off the rails. I'm like, I don't know how this is going to go, but this is going to go off the rails. And the puck drops, and I'm like.
Names and everything.
Wow. And I'm like, this girl's good. I was like, damn, I'm impressed. So I was like, all right. And it actually ended up being a good broadcast. In intermission, I asked her, I said, what are you taking? Are you taking like the journalism program? She's like, no, I'm in nursing.
What?
I was like, what?
That's awesome.
I'm like, man, I gotta introduce you to Gene. So
yeah.
So the funny thing is, a couple weeks later, they asked me, hey, can you do another game? I said, sure. So I thought I was gonna have her as no. They said, you're on your own.
Oh, that's terrible.
Oh no. So I did. I'm doing this on my own, and it was a struggle. I did okay though. I thought I did all right. I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, this is on Canada West TV. Like most of the people tuning in are just gonna be parents. So okay, I'm all right. But right, like you said, in the middle of your broadcast, I have this guy, and we're at the DCA. This guy standing up, he starts shaking the table. He's like, "What's going on here? What's going on here?
Oh,
Can I borrow this? Can I borrow?" I'm like. And I'm on him. And I'm trying. And I was like, I literally took my headset off. I'm like, can you get out of here?
Get the F
And he's
out
like,
of here.
what's going on here?
They know what's going on. That's the worst
course
part,
they know.
Hilsey. They're just being obnoxious and idiots.
Oh.
Did you hear me on the air?
I literally had to tell the producer, I'm like, get this guy effing out of here. Because like he's literally just like shaking the table. And he grabs the other headset, puts it on. I'm like,
get out of here.
I'll join you. I can do color.
I was like, oh, I thought to myself, I ended up doing a few more throughout the rest of the year. It was fun.
I hope they paid you handsomely.
But that guy, I'll tell you, like, instant panic. I was like, who the hell is this guy? Like, we're completely like.
And you're trying to broadcast still, trying to keep it, the action, trying to make sure the viewers don't know that something weird is going on, but also getting this guy out of there. And it's.
Yeah.
I'm getting flashbacks and nightmares right now thinking about that scenario that you just described. It's the worst.
I'm going to go try that with Dusty next time he has a game. I'm just going to go in the press box. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
What is this, guys?
The
And
suits
see
won't
what
have
happens
it.
between him and Glenn Suter
Yeah.
with me.
Yeah.
And if Moisty's in there, look out.
Yeah.
Moisty's a guard dog.
I'll give it a try. See what happens. Avery, what do you got coming up?
You
Covering
got
the
show-
Oilers and what's going
show
on
and
with
tell.
you?
Okay, yeah. Well, first of all, I'll show you one thing quickly here. I want to bring in.
Talk it to the mic, Avery.
I wanted to bring in from last week. You had a little XFL talk.
Yeah.
An official XFL mini helmet. From
No way.
2001.
Wow.
My birthday gift from a couple of years ago. The LA Extreme.
That's the Los Angeles and Scott Milanovic, who didn't win. He was drafted first overall, but he wasn't their starting quarterback by the end. I think that was Tommy Maddox.
Tommy Maddox took his job. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah.
Big Steelers.
No, I'm a huge XFL historian. I thought the league was so absurdly funny, but I was 8 years old loving this McMahon-led football league.
It was crazy. Did
Yeah.
you the strippers that were the cheerleaders? Remember that?
Yeah, and they brought the camera in the locker room.
Yeah.
It was very X-rated and
Yeah, it was
without being X-rated,
over
and
the
it was a
line.
different time.
Yeah.
Back in the early 2000s. But AverySports.com, what can people expect from you next little while?
We got some articles on there talking F1, hockey, basketball. Got a lot of content on there, and also too, Jason mentioned McEwen. I'm there, in McEwen in color commentary.
right.
Play. I help out with the broadcast now for hockey and basketball this year.
Attaboy.
You can hear me on Canada West TV. We did our first games last week. McEwen played Calgary men's, women's hockey. You know, McEwen lost both games, but it was fun getting back into the booth doing some commentary. So I'll be down there for a lot of this year doing stuff down the community arena.
So if you have a guy come around, you got to guard yourself. I'm just giving him.
You want some
giving
brass
heads up.
knucks?
I might need them.
Okay.
He'll give
From
you tips
Jason's
off
story.
the air after.
got
But
some
this is how you
backpack.
deal with it. Jason, what have you got up to besides dealing with the little one?
You know what? I'm just enjoying fatherhood right now.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's been pretty quiet around my household right now, other than having the little guy. But
Yeah.
No, it's been good.
Well, gents, thanks for coming in. The 2 hours is up. We've
Wow.
got the lock shop coming up next, but really appreciate you guys being on today.
Thank you.
No, of course, thanks for having us.
Lock Shop, Dusty and Huss coming up right here on Edmonton Sports Talk. They will get you set for MLB playoffs tonight, and then coming up at noon, Joaquin Gage, Matt Cassian, Dustin Nielsen. It is two guys and a goalie right here on EdmontonSportsTalk.com or on our YouTube channel. On behalf of Tom Gazzola, I'm Matt Iwanyk. Thanks again to Avry Lewis-McDougall, AverySports.com, and Jason Hills of the Edmonton Stingers for stopping by. And thank you for tuning in, even though the audio was only in one ear, not in both. We'll have that fixed for tomorrow, but thanks for tuning into the Hangout. Have a great rest of your day.